What the hell happens here? Um, okay, if we're live,
Yeah, we're live.
okay, I'm looking.
Click on dashboard.
Ah, okay.
On Periscope.
Online connecting to YouTube.
You're streaming to Twitter.
We're on.
Okay, we're on. So with YouTube,
Say hi to Periscope and Twitter.
oh, okay. Hi, Periscope and Twitter.
We'll be streaming to YouTube in a second.
Okay, yes, we're streaming to YouTube in a minute, although I need to probably see if YouTube is set to, actually, Michael, can you check that? Maybe on this one. If it's set to private or not, I don't remember. I think I had changed it at one point. So anyway, hi, anybody that might be watching, any of our old friends from After Hours. We have just decided to continue kind of an open forum discussion about news and such. So if, let's see, Brian, where should we put the Zoom link? I should have put that on the initial tweet out. Let's see. So excuse us, we're working out the details here. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, just put it out on Twitter.
Well, the way I did it last time, though, I think nobody knew how to connect. Okay. So, for anyone that doesn't know us, Brian and I are both working with Revolt Against Plutocracy, which is the organization that was behind Bernie or Bust. And we're now working on something called CFAR, Contract for American Renewal. What is that? Oh, okay. 1 second. Oh, I can't remember. What? I'm not worried about it. I don't care. We're shooting from the hip here.
Yeah, I just put it out on Twitter.
Okay, so you put the Zoom link on from your Twitter? Okay. Yeah, once we hopefully can
Jake just retweeted it, so I think he's going to be joining us.
Oh, that's good. Okay, he's so nice. I
Yeah.
like him. He's a nice guy. All right. So we're amateurs. We're not gonna pretend
we're just learning as we go, pretty much.
That's okay. But the whole point of what we're doing is we don't really want to sit here and talk to ourselves, do we?
Right.
We really want other people to come on and talk. And I think, our main issues are probably a lot of the things that are on the CFAR contract, a lot of Bernie's issues. I have a particular interest in election integrity and also in the horrible state of journalism right now. We'll probably go into those things. But I'm going to let you... Is Sabrina still on? I think she is.
She is. She's just muted.
Oh, okay.
I think she's still on.
Well, yeah, oh, okay, hi. Anyone listening, if you want to come on and don't want to come on with a video, that's fine. You can just talk. You can be a black box here. But Brian, I'm going to let you talk for a second while I just look at something here.
Jamal had a really interesting video today. I don't know if you saw it, but he was basically doing, I think he was doing with Debbie of the Same Progressive, and their live stream was cut off. And he got an email from YouTube explaining why. And it had nothing to do with what they were talking about. They had cut off his ability to live stream because of a video he did regarding his argument against this whole Russia nonsense.
Really?
He was basically rebutting, I think it was Chris Hayes of MSNBC, talking about how he brought on a guest, and he and this guest were going back and forth about sense, and was basically trying to tell him, look, the evidence shows that this whole thing was nonsense. Jamal was just explaining, this is what this guy's saying, and it basically makes Chris Hayes look, and they took, I think.
Hey Brian, your audio and video is freezing up like a lot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I know you're making what?
Drop out of the Zoom meeting and rejoin.
Michael's saying drop out of the Zoom meeting and rejoin. What's that going to do?
It helps.
It helps.
Okay.
That's the tech answer to everything. Reboot.
I can try that.
Right?
Hold on.
Okay. Sure. All right. Well, come right back. I'm talking to myself. Let's see. All right. Okay. Froze. So, Sabrina, did you happen to catch our stream on the Real Progressives Facebook page?
No, I saw the invite, but I had plans with my family to go out to dinner, so I wasn't able to do that, unfortunately.
Oh, Brian, this is really weird because now there's a square of you frozen.
Yeah, see it. There's two bars.
Okay, hang on. I think I can
you should
remove. Yep. Okay, I can
to,
remove you. Hopefully it only removes one of you.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. We're learning. Yay. Okay, now on Twitter, but there isn't, where's the Zoom link?
It should have been like the last tweet I put out.
Okay. I think I might need to, maybe I'll retweet it again.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so yeah, that's very disturbing if that's what's happening.
Yeah.
If that, hang on 1 second. Sorry to have just dead silence here, so.
No problem. Looks like Jake has joined us over in the chat.
Okay, is that, okay. This is nothing towards Jake, but I do not want YouTube chat enabled. So I need to fix that. And I'm going to explain that why right now. I got no problem with anybody that has anything to say that is a debate with us or anything like that. But it's been my experience that type chat attracts, and I don't mean you, Jake. There are plenty of great people in type chat that maybe don't want to come on video. But it tends to kind of attract people that would do and say things in the chat that they wouldn't come on and say and talk. So that's just not something I'm going to do on my channel. And
you're welcome to join us here, Jake. It's just that we really have had problems with the chat in the past, and it's not really conducive to to kind of the open forum that we're trying to have.
Right. So it's unfortunate for maybe some people that would like to remain anonymous or whatever. But unfortunately for some, that anonymity means they can cause problems, and I'm just not going to deal with that. Too many rabbit holes you can go down in. Okay. I'm still trying to make sure. I just need to go to my YouTube and so do you want to, now that you have a better connection, do you want to elaborate more on, or maybe Jamaro would come on and talk. That would be great if he'd come on and talk about what happened. Was it during a live stream with?
Yeah, they killed his live stream.
Okay.
YouTube stream, and then they sent him an email explaining why. It had nothing to do with what he was about with Debbie in that live stream. Mm-hmm. It had to do with a video that he had done previously.
Mm-hmm. Hey.
And it was, what was crazy is that he understood why they would kill it. That the particular live stream he was doing with Debbie.
Hey, Brian. Brian, your video and audio is...
The shooting in Florida. Yep.
It's doing it again.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'm having some connection issues.
Yeah, I wonder. That's odd because I don't remember that with you before. And I don't think it's because it's been in every Zoom meeting recently. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not on your end, but...
No, I'm seeing it. I am having some connection issues.
Okay.
That is odd.
Oh. Michael, can you come here? Sorry, I'm going to have to mute for a second. I'm having an issue too. Where the fuck is my... I can't log in. What? Okay, so what? I moved over out of screen. I can't get to my YouTube channel. It keeps popping up.
Okay, is this your name?
What? It's saying add account and bullshit like that. Look at this. This is Zoe. Now watch. No, I want you to watch what I'm doing. Sign in. Zoe. No, I don't want Zoe. Me.
No,
watch this. What the fuck is this? I need to add an account? What in the fuck is going on?
I need to just get like completely quit out of Chrome.
What? What do you always say? You can close that.
Because that literally, it's something to do with stuff that's cached in your web browser. It's causing a problem. And if I say you need to close out of Chrome, it's probably because it's the best thing that might actually help you. Stop it. It's hard to
Why was that doing that? Did you see what it was doing?
So we logged in there. She had to actually like get to her work.
Mm-hmm. What in the fuck? No, I'm sitting here online and I can't get into my shit.
That's why I'm helping.
How are you helping?
It's so weird. Why does my connection keep going out?
Okay, we're unmuted now.
Okay.
So, you see the loop that's going in? Okay, I don't know. Yeah, so did you actually try to get an account on Steam It yet?
Did I? No, I haven't done that yet.
Okay. Because I still haven't heard anything back on that. And I think I may have messed something up in trying to do that because I put my actual phone number, because they send you a text for verification, and then I used my Signal number. And so I don't know. I'm afraid I'm stuck in some kind of loop. Okay.
Yeah, I'll try to sign up for that tonight and see if I can get an account with them.
Because, I mean, I think there's no doubt that, we're seeing, yes, we are. We're seeing a real crackdown on all these platforms.
Well, yeah, because the discussions we're having aren't really the discussions that, those in power really want us discussing.
Right. Okay.
Why? I mean, look at the situation with Jamal. Why would they cut off a live stream that was, rather controversial? But the reasoning behind it had nothing to do with that particular live stream. That is bizarre.
Right. Hang on one second. Okay. 1 minute. Michael, I don't know how to disable chat. I don't think there's a way to do that.
I've never seen a way to do that.
No, I'm still like, this isn't muted either. It's not muted either. When I hit mute, it's not muting. So
It's not muting?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It is on my end.
No, it's not. When it broadcasts on YouTube, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
So, hi, internet can hear me cussing like a sailor. That's okay. So,
Yeah,
I
it is.
need to.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, then.
And it looks like we've got Jamal.
Awesome! It's Jamal. Hi, Jamal.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Not too
Hello.
much.
There
How
you
goes
go.
Good.
My camera's screwed up.
How's it going?
Oh, that's better.
That's better.
There have been better days, but it's going okay. Yeah,
Well,
it's going
Yeah, we were discussing your issue.
Issue is an understatement. I am pissed. Like it's one thing if I'm having the conversation with Debbie. It's one thing if they took it down because of that, where they're like, okay, these guys are getting into these risque areas and they don't like this thing of adults having disagreements in the conversation. That's one thing. I could kind of understand it. I still think it's bad to do, but I get it. They took that video down because of Russia, because of Trump and Russia. There's a video that Chris Hayes put out, a gentleman who was looking over, I think it went back, the Russia troll farm thing. He was debunking the troll farm thing. He was like, these people are being hysterical. I reviewed this back in 2015. I noted that these guys were doing these ads in Facebook and Twitter. Nobody thought it was a big deal at that point. And now all of a sudden, Facebook and Twitter ads is undermining democracy. And one day he has this guy talking about 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, using it in the context of Facebook and Twitter ads. It was like, these people are fucking nuts. They're insane.
yeah.
And my video was purely this thing of, this is the guy who interviewed this. This is a journalist who looked at this going back in 2015. And this guy is debunking the hysteria that these guys are taking place. YouTube cut midstream, in the middle of the stream, cut it off entirely and sent them a message saying, you've violated the community guidelines, and in violating the community guidelines, there's a strike against your account. You can appeal this decision. And I'm like, fuck. I was like, all right, maybe, the Parkland thing might have went too far. And then when I saw the video, I was like, oh, this is bullshit. This is BS. This is total BS. So
they said it was because of the Russia.
They saying it was because of the Russia troll
talk.
video.
Okay.
Yeah. They sent the little message, and they sent another message in the email account where it was like, your Russian trolls video breaks our community guidelines. It was something like, I think it says, journalists on Chris Hayes debunks Russian troll thing. That was literally what the video was. I mean, and that's literally what that guy was doing on Chris Hayes. Even if they take issue with the wording of it, saying, we disagree that this is debunking, whatever else, you can have that argument, but to take it down is fucking insane. That's insane. So, yeah, they took issue with that video.
So we're supposed to believe that about $50 worth of Facebook ads took down a multi-billion-dollar campaign.
That's what we're supposed to believe. That's what we're supposed to believe. $150,000. Mind you, half of the Facebook ads happened after the election.
After the election.
And I saw the ads. Like, the ads that they were talking about was absurd. It was stuff like, it was, one was like for Hillary Clinton. That was one. There was another one that was like against Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. There was another one saying God wants you to vote for Hillary Clinton. Some of them were even worded poorly because the people didn't necessarily have a great grasp of the English language. Hillary Clinton had a $6 million Twitter, her own troll army, like saying bad things about Bernie Sanders and her political candidates. I mean, this stuff is, we're supposed to believe $150,000 undermine democracy. And the person who they have out there screaming that it's undermined democracy is a person who was cheated by the actual Democratic Party.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Amazing.
I just had this feeling last night. I retweeted yet another Jimmy Dore thing, you know, with the hashtag Russiagate. And I tweeted and then I'm like, I'm just screaming into the void here at this point. Like, how many more of these can I tweet out? Nobody's listening. You know, I just really had this sense of like, oh my God. Like, if you don't get it by now, I don't know.
It's aggravating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's aggravating. It's immensely aggravating. But I've had friends of mine who came over, some best friends, and they're like, yeah, Russia undermined democracy. And it's like, okay, explain to me why you believe Russia undermined democracy. Yeah. And immediately, well, I mean, they were Twitter ads and Facebook ads. You believe that Russia undermined democracy because of Facebook and Twitter ads?
Bananas.
Well, I mean, and it's like you try to nail it down because you try to get across how ridiculous it sounds.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so us going into other countries doing the same thing. But they had no effect. I mean, nobody in their right mind said those things had an effect. No. But we do worse. And it's like, well, just because we do worse, they say, what they call it, whataboutism. But just because the United States goes into other countries, destroys other countries, undermine those governments, cyber attack those governments, spy on those governments, that you bringing that up is whataboutism.
So, okay, see, I was just going to look something up there. The Real News Network.
I like Real News Network.
Yes.
They're awesome.
Okay, Max Blumenthal has kicked ass on this subject. I really appreciate him. And did you happen, Jamal? You're always a step or two ahead of me. I'm sure this was a while ago, but you know, Aaron Mate did that interview with the guy that had written.
Eviscerated him.
Yeah, yeah.
That guy. Oh man, it was awesome to watch.
Yeah.
The guy wrote the book on collusion.
Yeah.
He wrote the book and couldn't hold. He was like, Aaron Mate was like taking him step by step, and he said, well, 20 years ago, Donald Trump went back to, it was like, what? Why are you telling me about 20 years ago? Like, he went all the way back as if Vladimir Putin was grooming this goofball to be president of the United States. It's like, Mate ate that guy alive.
Yeah,
he ate him alive. He ate him alive. The guy was like, did you read my book? Aaron Mate starts like, well, I read parts of your book. Well, if you would have read my book. No, you're here. Why do I need to read your book? You are sitting here in front of me. And you're trying to make this argument that Trump colluded with Russia. Mm-hmm. And he's taking them step by step, and he's kind of making his point to him that you haven't proven your case. Like, you're trying to say that this guy interacted with a foreign government, and you haven't proven your case. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was a great conversation.
Nothing. And then, did you see, I actually didn't see this till about a week ago, so about a week late after, but on February 12th, you can go to the Department of Homeland Security website, and it says DHS statement on NBC News coverage of election hacking. Did you see that?
I haven't seen that.
No. Listen. I think I read this on another one of our. Jeanette Monfra basically says, okay, and I quote: recent NBC reporting has misrepresented facts and confused the public with regard to Department of Homeland Security and state and local government efforts to combat election hacking. First off, let me be clear. We have no evidence,
election hacking,
old or new, that any votes in the 2016 elections were manipulated by Russian hackers.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
NBC News continues to falsely report my recent comments on attempted election hacking. Which, okay, anyway, it goes on and on. But it's NBC's irresponsible reporting, which is being roundly criticized elsewhere in the media, which kind of made me laugh because I don't know where they're talking about. But, but I don't, when does this stop? When does it stop?
It is so bizarre.
It is beyond bizarre. I mean, I understand the mechanics of it, like from the standpoint of, you know, one of the parties lost, that party is being assailed from its left, and you need to come up with some way in order to push back against you know, what you consider to be some taking down your particular team and your party, you lose 1,100 seats. How do you explain to the public and to the country? How do you retain some level of legitimacy when you lose 1,100 seats and you lose the House, Senate, Supreme Court, and presidency? So it's like, how do we answer that? Well, when you don't necessarily want to change anything, well, you answer that by bringing something else up. In this case, Russia.
Yeah.
But it's a different conversation of why the public would be this. I don't want to say stupid, but this is stupid. I'm sorry, this is stupid. There's no other way to say it. I mean, you're talking about Facebook and Twitter ads. Like, there's no other way to put it. You know, you yourself can go and put a Facebook and Twitter ad, and that Twitter ad can go in order to put things in people's accounts so people can see it. That's all it is. Like, and those ads weren't saying anything that the candidates were saying. So it's not like this Russian ad was saying something fundamentally different than anybody else was saying, and it was just so far out there, and none of that stuff was true. The stuff that was in those ads was just basic political stuff that anybody would say.
Did you see that CNN clip where Drew Griffin, this is old now, like a week ago, Drew Griffin went up to the lady outside of her house in Florida? Did you see that one?
I saw part of that where he was harassing that woman for like pushing Russian propaganda.
Yeah, and he's like something, he names the group Being Patriotic, and she's like, yes, I'm very patriotic, and he's like, no, being patriotic.
That's so, man. I saw the one where the guy was crawling through the trash outside of the embassy or outside of the Russian place. It's too stupid. It's too stupid.
Oh my god.
Oh, this is too stupid.
Oh, well, my other favorite. Okay, so Max Blumenthal, but also Randy Credico. Do you watch or listen to him? His name's
familiar. Is that the comedian?
Yes. And I was just seeing, because I remember he had tweeted a picture. I don't know. It's like a kid on the toilet, and there's like writing all over the wall and all this stuff everywhere, and it says Russia did it. But anyway, he's great. I really like him, and he has. So when we went to which I never talked to you about, but Unrig. So on that long drive down, I don't think Daniel would mind me saying he rode with me. Daniel from the People's Party. The draft burning guy. Anyway, we listened to a whole bunch of Randy Credico on the way down. His interviews with Assange and Christine Assange, Julian's mother, and Craig Murray, who is in Scotland. And do you know who he is? He's the one. He kind of made some statements on the DNC leak.
Okay.
Do you remember?
I'm not familiar with Craig Murray. Credico, yes.
Okay,
Assange, of course, yes.
Check out Randy Credico's interviews. But yeah, he does one with Craig Murray, and then John Pilger. Love John Pilger.
Yeah, I know Pilger.
That was cool. We listened to that on the way down, but it's kind of strange how we have him and Lee Camp and Jimmy Dore. We have the comedians are bringing us the news, right?
Yeah. Pretty much.
That's the state of our media.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a commentary on the media by itself. They have comedians that have to give you news. It's funny. In Britain, they're trying to say that Jeremy Corbyn was a communist spy for
that.
The government. And Jeremy Corbyn's reaction to this was completely different than Sanders. I mean, Corbyn essentially made this argument that these guys are losing their minds and they're terrified that there's going to be a Labour government and they have a right to be terrified because we're coming after them. And you listen to that like, yeah, that's what I want in a politician. That's what I want him to say. That's precisely what I want him to say. You're not coming after us. We're coming after you. Not so much in the States. We have a squishy Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders fell apart in the sun. I mean, for all intents and purposes. Like I said, he looks like he was in a hostage video. Throwing everybody under the bus. So, but that's us. That's the state of American politics. It's fucking insane.
The media. I don't know. I don't know what to say. All we have really is a real news network, and you really have to make a great effort to go dig around and find stuff yourself.
I like democracy now.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. You're right. Sometimes. Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
RT is sometimey depending on their point of view. It's like, so if you're talking about imperialism, yes, RT is on the spot. If you're talking about Russia, not so much.
Mhm.
I mean, like everything else, it depends on the point of view of the people that you're getting with. Like, so Fox News may have a story on the Democratic Party. Well, Fox News doesn't necessarily like the Democratic Party.
Right.
If the information is correct, then Fox News is going to be awesome on that story because they hate the Democratic Party. Same thing with MSNBC. All of them are that way. If Washington Post, New York Times, it's almost like you have to understand the bias of that particular place before you can get this idea of what's more true or what's more likely to be true. But yeah, that's the state of our media, man. You have comedians.
Here's an argument that I would like to see somebody take up. Is okay, if the Democratic Party is really worried about outside foreign influence, then does that mean that they're going to require their candidates to give back the money that they've taken from foreign companies?
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
I mean,
well, they don't consider that foreign influence. I mean, in their minds, they're paragons of virtue, and the fact that they're getting a lot of money in no way affects their behavior or affects the tenor of their vote. That's the argument that they always get. Oh no, how dare you impugn my integrity by saying that me taking all of this money is somehow changing my behavior. It's like saying when you go to work, you don't necessarily behave in a way that's commensurate with the office that you're working in. That you're still this kind of free floating thing doing whatever you want. Everybody knows this is fucking insane. If you worked at McDonald's and you weren't wearing the hat because you didn't necessarily like the hat, McDonald's is going to fire you. In this case, you have politicians who are getting like $1 billion. They're getting a hell of a lot more than $8 an hour. They're getting a ton of money, and in their mind, they need this money in order to get elected. It is the height of ridiculousness to believe that they're getting this money and they're not doing anything for the money. It's insane. I mean, hell, in fact, I can't think of the name of the Republican, but the guy says something like, if you guys don't pass this tax bill, lose my phone number. That's an outright bribe. Like, that's literally saying, do this or I am not going to pay you anymore.
Hang on.
I mean, that's...
you got that one guy, Klubeck.
Klubeck, yeah.
Yeah, who is telling Democrats that I'll continue to give you guys funding as long as you don't talk about anything related to class.
And that's amazing.
What the hell is that? He's basically telling them, I'm paying you to lose.
That's amazing. I mean, that's they're literally saying we're paying you to shut up about certain topics. Yeah. That's amazing. Like that's mind blowing that somebody would come on national TV and say that. What happened to the days where the billionaires just stay in the shadows and enjoy their cash? You know what I mean? Like if I had $40 billion, I would be the happiest person on the planet. I couldn't see. I'm just amazed that it's like we have all of this money and then we also want to fuck around with your processes beyond the fact that we have all this cash. Like,
because it's never enough. That's because that's what it's come down to. It's never enough for these people.
It's never enough. It's never enough. It's like,
so
how much do you want? More. I want more.
Sorry, I've been a bit distracted because I'm trying to see. I don't think the Zoom link was on my Twitter feed.
Yeah, it was. I saw it.
On mine?
Mm-hmm.
Weird. I don't know. I don't see it. I just see open forum, and then it's not there.
Let's see.
Anyway. Let's see. Well, I retweeted it and put the...
Yeah, I see it.
I retweeted it and put you're invited to a Zoom meeting. So I don't know. We finally just figured out Restream.
Yeah, we've been having some tech.
What is it called? Restream?
Yeah, we're a little behind. But you use like Google Hangouts, don't you?
Yeah, I always use Google Hangouts. It's straightforward, simplistic.
Yeah.
And it usually does what it's supposed to do. Restream, that's somebody else said something about that. Is that the one where it puts it through multiple streaming services?
Exactly.
So it'd be like Facebook, YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah. Somebody else
Ebon is light years ahead of us and all this stuff. But yeah, so he mentioned that months ago, but we just got around to figuring it out. But I've been also trying to get a Steemit account. So have you heard about this? So, I mean...
I've heard about Steemit. That's the one with the cryptocurrency, right? Mm-hmm. That's the... Mm-hmm. It's like the cash cryptocurrency. Yes, I've heard of it. I am skeptical of the cryptocurrency thing.
Yeah,
but I gotta be honest, I don't know enough about it.
but to have a place to stream your videos to that maybe might not be,
Restrictive.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that part, yes. It's funny. I had Caitlin Johnston on today, and
oh, you did today?
Yeah, I had her on today because I wanted to talk about her book.
Mm-hmm.
And she, it was short notice in regards to getting the system up because they just cut off the stream. So usually I would have just had her on Google Hangout. We would have just streamed it through Google Hangout.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I was using it, I was trying to use Hangout with OBS and using both together. I guess drain the system, creating lag in the system, so the entire video is fucked up with lag. I was like, God damn it! Hate that. I'm gonna try this restream though. But yeah, Steemit. I didn't know that Steemit had streaming capabilities.
Yeah, we're not really sure exactly.
What it appears to do is stream to YouTube, and I guess on.
Or no, you use YouTube, then that goes to Steemit. But there's also
Patreon does that too. Yeah, Patreon has something like that where you can stream through YouTube. There's one other place that Patreon has that you can stream it through, but they charge you it's like charge you a monthly fee for that particular streaming service.
Well,
YouTube is just straightforward, man.
Restream is like $15 a month. So
that's not that bad.
No, it's not bad.
Especially if you can do multiple things.
Right. And what I noticed, what got my attention was, I know Lee Camp is on there, and I got an email from Disobedient Media.
She's awesome.
That they're going over there. And also, what's her name? Claire Connolly. She is, I believe, in Australia, and she was on Facebook. Let's see. No, she was on Redacted Tonight, and then she was also on the Real Progressives Facebook page. But she's a journalist. I think she's great. And she also mentioned Steemit. So it seems to me like maybe that's kind of where people are going. I don't know.
I've heard. I really wish these things open up to streaming, like where they have the capacity to actually stream, not just upload videos. I enjoy streaming. Like I think I enjoy streaming better than the videos themselves, if that makes sense. It's weird. It's like you're doing it in the moment, and there's this slight anxiety associated with it because you're kind of doing it in the moment, and any fuck up is on there in perpetuity. And you get to interact with the audience, meaning your audience can say you're a fucking asshole, and you respond to your audience calling you an asshole. I like that direct thing because, in all honesty, the only reason why Sane Progressive and she was able to call in was because we were live. Like if it wasn't for that video being live, there was no way for her to respond to that. And in fact, not just respond to it, she would have probably sent me a Facebook thing, a dirty tweet on Facebook. We're like, you're an asshole. And I kept trying to make the point to her, this video wasn't about you. Like, because my audience is fans of hers, and I like her too. I'm a big fan of Saints. Because they're fans of hers, they look at it as, and they say, she's the most outspoken person that they know about the Parkland stuff. And because she's the most outspoken person, the moment that you bring it up, their first thought is, he's talking about Saint. And I was like, Saint, this had nothing to do with you. I'm in the shower. And as I'm taking my shower, I'm listening to, it's this guy talking about remote viewing. Now, I turned him on because I wanted to hear him. I was curious about what he was going to say on this particular topic. And the person that he was talking to was insane. Like, and so I'm listening and I'm stuck in the shower and I can't get to the phone, and I'm listening to this person go into these weird, insane areas. Earth was under attack. Aliens attacked us. We were fighting off the aliens. And I'm like, I thought this was about remote viewing. What the fuck is he talking about?
You know what? It's bad when you're so hooked on this stuff, you can't even put it down long enough to take a shower.
Well, I was stuck. I mean, I listen to stuff when I'm taking a shower, either music or something else. And I'm like, God damn it, I can't get out the shower to get to the phone. And so this thing is like blaring the speakers and I'm stuck. And I'm like, all right, this woman is functionally insane. And I've known this woman before. She's done other interviews where I'm like, stop talking. Let the interviewer talk because you are insane. And I'm like, my wife comes in, she says, this is kind of lousy. You can cut that off. You cut it off. I don't need to hear it. The entirety of the video was, why do people believe this? Like, you can't get your hands on this. You can't even see the stone for this. It's not some. You don't interact
Wait,
with the
believe
wizard.
what?
Why do they believe it? What's the thing that pushes her to believe this? Like, what? Like, it's one thing if somebody tells me they believe aliens were here as a precursor to the civilization. Okay, I have no way to know one way or the other. Fair enough. We're ambiguous. If you're telling me, however, that you are almost certain that aliens attacked the planet and that they were eating babies and all this other stuff, and I'm like, okay, why do you believe that? Now, the whole point of my video about the Parkland thing had to do more so with the reason why people believe conspiracies, or the reason why people go this route, making this argument that there's been a lot of false flags that have taken place. So there's been a lot of things that have taken place where they've outright lied. Either the government was lying to the people got the story like 20 years after the fact, and either the media, the government wasn't given the proper context for people to understand the world that they were in. Once people become aware of that, they're like, oh my God, these guys are liars. And then they start looking around at what
this
other
is
things.
the danger. This is what bothers me so much with all this shit, is because it's the failure of our news media to actually give news to the people that is giving rise to this really outlandish stuff.
They lose legitimacy. Yeah.
And so, I mean, there are things that I just don't even touch. I'm not even going to name them, but I just don't go there, you know? So
I guess I disagree with her. Like look, I like saying I think she's fucking awesome. And even if we disagree, I still respect where she's coming from. Her point to me was, you don't touch this stuff. It's like a wall. And it's like, it's not that I don't touch it. I just disagree with it. There's a difference in those things.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, where do you put your feet on the ground? Like, at a certain point, there's a line in the Joker and Batman where Joker's, you know, he's like madness or like gravity. At a certain point, you're just kind of flying in the air. When you don't know where to put your feet on the ground, you can end up pretty much anywhere. And I think this is your point. This is kind of the failure of media. Where do people actually go to for something that's real and earnest when they think that everybody is monetized and everyone has an opinion and everybody is hacks and all this other stuff?
Well, the problem arises from, you know, when Trump says fake news, he's not lying.
No, it's not.
But then it just gets taken to the nth degree on other subjects. So I had to basically on Twitter over the weekend say to a bunch of people, like, leave me out of these mentions, because it was a whole bunch of stuff about the Florida shooting, and I haven't paid that much attention to whatever the false flag narratives are on that. But I'm just like, I don't want any part of this. If you're talking about crisis actors and all that stuff, I'm out. I don't want to hear it.
I was shocked that as many people bought into that. Like, I was blown away by that. Like, when I'm on the channel, I think it was like 170 some people that was on the live stream, and you had a small majority. I mean, a small minority, but a loud minority. Like, no, man, this is exactly what took place, and yeah, you know, these guys were crisis actors and all this other stuff. Like, why do you believe this? Like, what? We're awash in weapons. Like it's hard to get across. We have like multiple shootings every day. Like literally every day in the United States, there's a multiple shooting, like a 2 or 3 person shooting, using weapons, using guns.
It's the failure of the media. And the little bit that I did see, the other part that made me just sick was, I can't remember, one of, who are the Today Show morning hosts? I don't even know people's names. I'm glad I don't.
I haven't seen them Today Show in a while.
But they were interviewing one of the girls that like survived the shooting. I don't know. I think she was grazed by a bullet somewhere. But they're like, it's disaster porn. Okay, it's just they're asking her, how do you feel about? Okay, turn the fucking camera off. Stop doing this. Like, do you not realize that the next kid out there that has no hope or is mentally unstable or whatever, has his hands on weapons, they're watching all this stuff on there, and they're seeing, we can have on display people's, you know, emotion. You know, it's like that is part of the problem right there. That's part of the problem. And leave it the fuck alone. Like, really, we don't have to do that. Like, if I were that girl's parents, I don't understand why they have them on camera, honestly. I mean, that's not part of the story. I don't know. I just think that that encourages more of this to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's showing the.
We have such a problem in this country with mental health.
Mm-hmm. But
I mean, our mental health care system it's virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got this proliferation of weapons. What the hell do you think is going to?
Mm-hmm.
What, there are more weapons than people, something like that? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
even if, like, assume for the moment that you add all of this friction and tension, all of these people with barely making ends meet, in addition to all of these people barely making ends meet, working jobs that they absolutely hate, is kind of completely alienated from the labor that they're engaged in. And then to this you add what, twice as many guns, so like 600 million guns in all the entirety of the United States. How many of these people are a little bit off? How many of these people have bad intentions? How many of these people have a propensity to kind of flip out and lose it? Even if it's a tiny fraction. You're talking about a country of 300 million people. Even if it's like a tiny fraction, even if it's like 0.2%, this seems inevitable to me. It doesn't even seem one of those things of, oh my God, I can't believe this took place. It's like, yeah, I expected this to take place given the environmental factors that you've permitted. Yeah, I got to be honest. I just disagree with those narratives. You know, it's there's something I can agree with. This is not one of them.
They're for the Alex Jones channel, and I'm sorry. I mean, give me one bit of concrete evidence.
Yeah.
But other than that, I just really don't want to hear it. I think, and I ended up. I think I said, to someone, it's disgusting and disrespectful to the victims, and they wanted me to engage more in the conversation. I'm just like, I'm not going down this this rabbit hole. I'm just not going to do it.
Engaging, I guess. Yeah, I don't mind engaging. I guess I feel it's kind of like the moon landing, where people are like, the moon landing is a fake.
Yeah.
And it's each, like, all of these little
I'm listening.
items.
Keep talking.
All of the little items that come up are taken in a way of saying, see, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
Right.
And it's like, I understand, like, you can zoom into these specific issues, but when you look at the overarching issue, you have to believe that all of these people lied, all of these astronauts lied, all of the people who were in NASA lied. That entire ship was just a tin can for no reason. I mean, it's so much that you have to believe in order for that to be fake.
Right.
That's kind of what I feel. It's like you have a certain point of view when you're looking at these things, and people say, well, government and media has lied about these other things. They've obfuscated from these other things. What else are they lying about?
Right.
And they look at any little specific thing that may try to create a conflict in the story and the main narrative of events. Because here's the thing, the main narrative could be wrong. Like, I don't look at the narrative and say, okay, the narrative is right. I just don't look at it and say, it's false flag.
Right. Exactly.
They can be incompetent. They can get the stuff wrong.
Right.
10 people in a room, they're going to have different ideas on what took place. So that doesn't
we might not be getting the whole story or something, but that doesn't mean it was all staged and whatever.
Right.
It's just
out there. See, my dad and I got into an argument. We argue about stuff all the time. We're talking about 9/11, and we both, I mean, nobody really knows what exactly took place, but my argument is this: all our government had to do to clear up any possibility of this false flag or whatever, hold an open hearing.
Yeah.
What did they do? They did everything behind closed doors. They didn't keep records of anything. What do you expect people to think at that point?
Yeah, it makes it look guilty.
I mean, when you're being that closed off and non-transparent, I'm sorry, it's going to fuel people's conspiracy theories.
And they're not insane. Like, that's the part of that. When the U.S. government, one of the files that they released when they were talking about Florida and Cuba, they were trying to come up with a pretext in order to go into Cuba.
Yep.
And mind you, this is after trying to kill Castro like 100 and some times, like exploding cigars and all this other ridiculous stuff. But even getting to the point of saying they were thinking about bombing Floridians in order to create a pretext to go into Cuba, that is mind-blowing.
Yep.
Now, if they would have did that, the first thought would have been, oh, dude, you can't say that that was a false flag. You can't say that that was bogus. And the government would have stood by this whole argument that it was the Cubans that did it. You would have had media coming out saying it was the Cubans that did it. You would have had all of these lefties screaming that you had to invade Cuba. You can kind of see the machinations of that stuff and how that stuff would have propagated itself. And so when you look back at what they've done and some of the stuff they've talked about doing, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know how people can be completely certain that this story is what the government says it is. Right. That being said, I again, this is one of those things I don't necessarily believe look, I believe that they didn't necessarily tell the whole truth. I don't necessarily believe the story is exactly the way the story is. But I've heard people go to the point of saying there was a beam weapon that hit the building. It's like, but people saw the airplane. It's like, come on. It's like there's certain parts of the story. If you're telling me, well, that last building that fell, nothing hit that building, so something is weird with that. Agreed.
Well, see, that's another one of those subjects I don't touch, and that's just a choice I make. But I feel like that a lot of those conspiracy theory thing or whatever, they take away from things that really did it. Like my focus right now about election integrity and about the fact
things you put your hands on.
Democrats rigged the primary. Okay,
and we
Democrats rigged the primary. We know
that.
We have all those
Russians, man. They got Russian
hands on. These are things that matter above anything else. Even if you believe that 9/11 was a complete false flag, you can't find the truth of that unless you can confront the duopoly, the election fraud, and the complete paid-for government that we have. Nothing handled until those issues are handled. It doesn't matter what side of any other issue that you stand on. Those are the only ones that should matter to anyone. And Kelly's right. No matter what any of these things are, they are just a distraction. Because until we handle those three basic things, none of the rest of it matters.
Yeah, the government is a big deal.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. The fact that your politician is working for somebody else is a big fucking deal.
But yeah, I mean, I just think that a lot of these other things muddy the waters, and so it makes people that are half listening, they don't really pay attention, they don't pay attention to politics, they half watch 30 minutes of whatever bullshit mainstream media on CNN. So if they hear the same people that are talking about Vegas is dummy, wheelbarrows full of dummies, it's those same people that are saying the primary was rigged, they tune it out.
Yeah,
it's all crazy bullshit to them.
That is a good point.
And that drives me crazy because I do have some actual journalist training. That was my degree. And to me, the facts matter. And we need to stick to things that we have concrete evidence of. We have evidence that 117,000 voters were booted off the rolls in Brooklyn.
200,000.
200, okay.
It was like 200,000.
Oh, maybe so. Okay, thank you. So Lulu Freistad, who I was so lucky to get to talk to, I was so excited about that. Did you happen to see that? I talked to Tim Canova and her about his case.
I think I saw the Canova one. I was part of the Canova one, but I haven't seen the other one.
Yeah, that was so great that she came on and talked. And but anyway, she said that there may still be criminal charges in New York. But so we know that happened. Let's go after that. We know what happened in Broward County. That election, what's her name? Brenda Snipes, I think. Tim Canova said that after they requested those ballots, they destroyed them.
Yeah, I did hear him say that.
We can go across the country, Arizona, California. Let's focus on that because until we fix the broken election system, we can't get anywhere with anything.
It goes beyond the election system. I mean, it's almost like somebody going after like environmental stuff. It's like we need to fix the environment in order to get to the planet. It's like, well, you can't really get to the environment until you get the purpose of it. Like, I don't think, for instance, I don't think the election system is broken purely because people are assholes. I think there are incentives built into the election system in the way that it is.
Mm-hmm. But like, no one that would come in and change all of those things, environmental stuff. People, the Democrats right now, they have a goal, and that is to keep progressives down. Yeah, they prevented Bernie from winning the primary, and they prevented Tim Canova from beating Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That is their goal. And it was so hard for me to be at Unrig the System and not just and stand there through that awful session from Russia with Facebook and stand there and not start like sounding like a crazy person, like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's what I wanted to do. But I'm like, no, and I just stood there. Did I tell you what I ended up doing? So I recorded it, I live streamed it, and I just sat there and listened to stupid Putin jokes. And the only person that spoke out, like saying he called Washington Post fake news, was the libertarian on the panel. I don't remember his name right
that's
now.
awesome.
Yeah. And so at the end, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go up and hover around the stage. So I saw Ellen Weintraub, who I had seen her on the lineup before I went. She's the FEC commissioner. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to just ask her directly something about Broward County and Tim Canova's the race and what happened. So I just hovered around the stage, and she was like going out the door. And I said, can I ask you a question? And so I asked her about it, and I just said, what do you know? What do you think about the ballot destruction in Broward County? And she just looked at me very blankly, and she said, well, that would be a state issue.
State matter, right?
And, okay, well, I really don't know that much election law, and I don't think even if I had pressed her, I don't think she would have
I wish you would have asked her about the Hillary Clinton skirting campaign finance laws. I mean, laundering money into the state. That is within her purview.
We have to realize she was like out the door.
So.
I'm lucky that
well within her purview.
She was out the door. I mean, I'm lucky I even got to say anything, right? But I really didn't know how to respond to that, and so I just
a state issue. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, she was gonna leave anyway. There was no I'd have to chase her down the hall, So, anyway, so I messaged Lulu and I said, this is what she said, and what do you think? And she said, well, no, ballot destruction is a federal and state crime. That's fine. Okay. So
she's trying to get out the door.
Yeah. Later I saw on the Independent Voter Network, they interviewed her, and it was just this, I'm sorry, but I spent a long time talking to this person. I'm not going to name names. Independent Voter Network, and I stood there basically and I was talking to her like, this whole Russia stuff is a bunch of bullshit, and so I was pretty open to how I felt about that. But anyway, she seemed like she kind of agreed. This is all off the record, but then they did this interview with Ellen Weintraub, and it was just like no hard questions. Okay, this is the Independent Voter Network, no hard questions, and everything was all about, let's fix gerrymandering because the Republicans have gerrymandered all these districts. And there was only one.
Republicans' fault.
Yeah, it's all Republicans' fault. And that's all I just wanted. I had this internal, I just wanted to scream out, what in the hell is going on here? Unless you address what the Democrats did to Bernie Sanders in the primary, and that is not fucking democracy, okay?
No, that's the opposite.
Then we're not going to get anywhere. But nobody, I talked to election, you hear me stumbling with this in the interview.
And by the way, that may not be true, by the way.
What?
Mom, that's my mom's argument. My mom at the end of the election cycle, she was like, well, Democrats have to change now. That was her thought. Her thought was Democrats have to change. She's
You're laughing. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
I'm like, why do you believe that? She says, well, they've lost 1,100 seats. They've lost everything. They lost a maniac. Certainly they have to change. And I'm like, but you voted for Hillary Clinton. Yeah. Then why do they have to change? If at the end of the day, you always prod and push and get the person back, they're literally at the point now where they potentially may win re-election in the House and the Senate. They would have won re-election without dealing with any of the issues associated with the Democratic Party.
No, they have no intention of doing any of that. And so one of the guys, I picked up this flyer, and it was, I will call out, it's not by name, it's by organization. I don't know what his name was. It was Election Integrity Caucus. And I picked up this flyer, and I'm looking at it, and there's nothing on there. Nothing at all about what happened during the Democratic primary. And I was just looking at this holy shit, what is this, And so I ended up at this place where I went to get coffee and charge my phone and just sit down, and I look over, and the guy's sitting right there because he had, his bag and all his stuff. And So I just asked him. I said, told him who I was. I was with Revolt Against Plutocracy, and I said, and I'm just wondering why you don't have anything about the Democratic primary on there. And he, again, I get this funny blank look, like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, okay, did you hear about in Brooklyn all the voters that were booted off the rolls? And he said, oh
that
yeah.
was a coincidence. Yeah, that was a coincidence.
Oh yeah, no. And I said, well, and I just pointed him to the Election Justice USA report that I'm constantly referencing. And I said, go and look at it. And look, do you know about Tim Canova's case? He didn't know. I said, this happened all across the country. And until you address this, I don't see how you're just pointing at the other side. And it was all new. I'm telling you, it was all news to him.
But from their perspective, all of this stuff is conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. In the same fervor, you're like, yeah, I don't want to talk about 9/11.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And in all fairness, I don't look the 9/11 thing. I'm not a believer in this. Like, I'm not one of those people who believe the thing. I'm just one of those people who are ambiguous about it. It was how the fuck would I know? You guys didn't have an honest investigation. Mm-hmm. But from their perspective, they're like, what do you mean New York? What happened in New York? Well, they threw 200,000 people off the rolls. Yeah, that was a coincidence. Like, what about Arizona? That was a coincidence too. What about,
seemed to,
everything is a coincidence.
No, he seemed to kind of, I think what was complicated was, well, I don't know. I don't want to say what I thought. He acknowledged that what happened in Brooklyn was wrong and that was a problem. And it was me pointing out, well, it was all over the place. Go read this report. But he didn't, he just seemed like he didn't know. That's all. Like, maybe he'll go look at it.
Now, my brother, who worked on Hillary's campaign, he admitted to me that, yes, they cheated Bernie. He had no problem admitting it.
Really?
He admitted it to me.
Wow.
But he said that they did that because there was no way that old crazy guy was going to beat Trump.
Now, that's the interesting about I'm so fascinated by this.
That's his argument.
So he would honestly say, yes, we cheated Sanders.
Yes.
He was in on, yes, we cheated Sanders. Like, he was in the room to some degree where he's aware of it.
Yes. You know, my favorite thing is that hear? It's like, well, he wasn't a Democrat anyway.
And what is that?
Yeah, my brother says that too.
Being a Democrat is a spiritual experience. It's like,
yeah. So what does that tell you? That most of the country doesn't want a fucking Democrat. Excuse my language.
He lost.
But I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, But anyway, the other crazy thing that happened. So I ended up last week on a call. It was just a phone call that Lulu had told me about, and Victor told me. It was called Secure Our Vote. Yeah. And I thought, okay, let me listen in. And I didn't know much about the organization, but one of the callers was from, I look at it, it says, Center for American Progress. I'm like, wait a minute. That's fucking mean girl queen Neera Tanden. Oh my God. And so, again, awesome. I just sat on the call and I was like, okay, it had a thing like you could push a button to ask a question. I'm just like, I'm not going to go there, not today.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But I just couldn't believe it, because we're going to sit here and just talk about how we need to protect our voting systems from Putin. But not Brenda Snipes in Broward County, who trashed the ballots after they asked for them.
Did he bring charges against her in some way? Or did he try to push for some kind of legal action on that? He does have a legal case against, I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not, But if you go to Tim's website, he has a lot of information on that. And he did have, I think there was a petition, to file criminal charges against the DNC for the primary rigging. Now, last time I looked back, I didn't see it, but I think that was on there.
Nice.
That would be nice.
But I mean,
I'll check that out.
Anyway, we need about 1,000 Tim Canovas right now. Really,
I imagine he's pissed off that he was cheated. I mean, I would imagine he's pissed off. I don't blame him.
Mm-hmm. But we talked in the interview about how him even bringing up that there was something funny and it needed to be looked into. You know, he had the smear piece by someone at the Miami Herald that wrote this article, basically just like it boggles the mind how we can accuse we can accuse Trump of saying, you know, when he said anything about like, if I don't win, it's because
Yeah.
things are. But the other side says it, you're just crazy, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, but so yeah, my daughter and I had a discussion about this because she's a journalism student also, and I said, why? You know, why? What do you think? Why would this guy? He's probably in his mid-30s, Miami Herald writer. Why would he write this like this? Like, doesn't he have any interest in like finding out the facts? You know, like good old-fashioned journalism. But I guess there's just, you know, my point is it on purpose? Like everybody, you know, again, conspiracy theory.
I see.
Like,
you're asking my question. You're asking the question I always ask.
Like is everybody just in on the...
Or are they oblivious? Like,
Right.
which one is it? Are they lying to us or are they just full of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder that myself. Like,
and she said,
like,
well, it's
yeah.
trying to, you know, it's like self-preservation for your career, and like you know, you write something that your editor likes, and you know, I don't know.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. What's his? Do you remember Keith Olbermann comes out after Donna Brazile releases the bombshell, and he's like, Donna Brazile has just lost her career, and it's like, wait, so that had nothing to do with, you know, truth. It has nothing to do with being honest in any way. It has nothing to do with, oh my God, they cheated this guy. It's like the reality of it is less important than she just lost her career. Mm-hmm. I'm just amazed, and that made me think so poorly of him. Yeah, I understand Keith Olbermann has looked pretty bad over the past few years, but it's like this guy who's screaming at Bush and all this other stuff, and then all of a sudden, this woman comes out, and even if Olbermann said, look, I'm a Democrat to the end, I'm not going to believe the stuff that they was cheating, I'm not going to believe any of it, because the moment that Donna Brazile comes out and says it, at that point, what are you going to say? Are you going to say the person who was ahead of the DNC is for whatever reason lying on the DNC? You would think that he would be like, oh my God, this was true. Oh my God, I can't believe that they would do this. Oh God, they've undermined democracy. None of that. She's just lost her career because her career was the thing that mattered more than anything else. I found that to be amazing. I mean, but that kind of hits your point. You know, it's like, well, yeah, they're trying to curry favor in some cases. And yeah.
Right. Oh, hello, Garden. Awesome.
Hey, Garden.
What's going on, Garden?
Haven't heard from you in a while. Are you there?
He's trying to get there. He's trying.
He's having some audio problems.
Okay.
Yeah, he's trying.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, this guy, I mean, he went to Columbia. I looked him up because we were just curious, like, where did he go to journalism school, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess you've all probably heard me talk about my daughter's 1 year at Boston University, and we jokingly called it MSNBC training ground.
Pretty much.
But I'm like, oh my God, I sound like Rick Santorum. I'm saying like the liberal colleges, but when it comes to right now, or when she was there during the election, so anytime she brought up anything that wasn't just pro Clinton, she got labeled a Trump supporter, and you know, just it was really bad. And I read the student paper, and it was very obvious that the people that were kind of towing that line were going to get I don't know, maybe they get to write more on the paper or something. And she felt like she wouldn't be able to have a voice.
So unless she told a particular line in order to do it.
Yeah.
I would wear it like a badge of honor and go with it.
I tried, and I was like, you know, go write something. Find this guy that had I can't remember. He was a student of Howard Zinn's. But, you know, Howard Zinn was at Boston University. I was like, awesome. You could run with that. You could write something really awesome and, you know, shove that in there, you know, rub their noses in that. You've got buildings that say Howard Zinn, you know, like everything you're doing goes against what he said. And she's like, I don't like to make as many enemies as you do.
Oh, I don't like to make enemies.
No, I'm saying my daughter said that to me. Like she.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she would. No. I'm saying she was like, you're so controversial, and she was like, I want to have friends.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
I'm like, yeah, I would be there, like, raising all kinds of hell. But
he's trying.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Garden.
We can kind of hear you.
Check, how's the volume on it?
It's good.
Good enough. All right.
Yeah,
What's up, you guys? I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, we love having you on.
What's going on, man?
What's up, dude? What's up, Brian? What's up, Kelly? Long time no talk to you.
I know, it has been a while. I've been slaving away I can't say that. I've been working with CFAR stuff.
Slaving away, partying in New Orleans. That's what I see.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, I did. I just had to rant. I was like walking by myself late at night in New Orleans.
I was concerned, like, if you take the wrong turn in New Orleans, you end up in some shitty fucking areas.
Yeah.
I was like, stay on the main path, Kelly.
That's okay. I'm tougher than I look. So, anyway, I wasn't worried about it. I was kind of in an area, like, just west of Tulane, and it really wasn't bad. So, it's fine. Residential. But, yeah, we did go down to Bourbon Street. That was interesting.
Nice.
I hadn't been there since I was like, I guess 2, but I don't remember that. So anyway, it was, beads everywhere and all that. It was cool.
It's crazy. The best bar is that I liked to go to when I lived in Biloxi and would visit New Orleans was the Abbey, which is right on Decatur Street. And if you're going to party in New Orleans, don't go to Mardi Gras. Halloween.
No.
Halloween is the time to go to New Orleans.
Okay.
Trust me.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I'll have to keep that in mind.
this Unrig Summit, was the weekend before Mardi Gras started. So yeah, I know. It was interesting. So yeah, I would say there were a few people there that weren't just, I hate to say it, but just going to be sucked back up under the Democratic Party tent. It was really, really hard to just not sound like a crazy person and just start screaming like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, I'd like to challenge a bit about CFAR.
Have at it.
Well,
I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Brian and I were talking about this a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about this contract.
Mm-hmm.
What teeth are in the contract? I mean, can you can't really sue these people in court from what
No.
I've
Not legally binding. You're right.
Nope.
So what you need is a voting block that is comparable to other voting blocks
Mhm.
in order to be successful.
Right.
It's the way to look at this. Grover Norquist essentially did the same damn thing. Okay, he put together a voting block. Okay, and he said, these people here are in line with my agenda to not raise taxes. You raise taxes, these people are going to vote against you. You're going to lose your seat in office, or you're never going to get into office in the first place. So that's essentially what CFAR is doing. It's the same strategy. It's worked before. We have history of it working.
But Grover Norquist, you don't have a Grover Norquist. But Grover Norquist has juice, and he has connections, and he can push his message.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's
what you
true.
guys need is a non-corrupt. You don't need Grover Norquist, but like you need someone with some juice,
Yeah.
And Victor is
But you
like
gotta
he's
generate.
working, and all you guys are working hard. Don't get me wrong. You can generate some juice, but like, man, Grover Norquist. I mean, he carried around a hammer.
That's what I was about to say. I think you're talking about somebody who can put fear into somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's like how can you make this a consequence associated with it?
Well,
Either way.
having someone like Tim Canova on there, I think gives it some.
I think so too.
Strength.
Yeah.
Having Ro Khanna on there, on the other hand,
not so much,
which was not something I was behind. That
Wait, Ro Khanna signed the
Yes, he did.
Whoa, that's amazing. So wait, why aren't you on board with Ro Khanna? I thought that's what you guys wanted. You wanted the people to
look, I don't know enough about him. I've just my feeling is I feel like I'm listening to Obama.
No, don't misunderstand me. I guess what I'm saying is the CFAR pledge is specific. Either this person did this or they didn't do this. That was the beauty of the pledge.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, you're just holding him accountable to the pledge itself. If Ro Khanna doesn't live up to the pledge,
because I think if initially you have people sign on that seem like they're not really that they're just doing it to have that to say they did, or they don't come across as authentic. That is where the power is in this, is that the voters, as you said, voting bloc or whatever, will be like, we're not going to reelect you. So it could cheapen it and make it less, less legitimate if we have everybody and their brother sign on. If tomorrow Kamala Harris or whoever comes on and wants to sign it, we're like, yeah, sure, you mean that, That's, I guess.
I guess my point is, if you will, the whole point of the CFAR pledge is to bend people to your will.
Yeah.
You don't really care if Ro Khanna believes it or not. You just care whether or not he does it. If that makes sense. It's like,
yeah, right, sure.
Now, don't get me wrong. I understand your point. If he comes in and he just breaks all of the pledges within like the first year, then it cheapens the pledge. It's like, okay, this guy took a pledge.
And again, I don't want to pick on him because I don't even know that much about him. I didn't think it's not somebody I would have gone after to sign it. Yeah. But it could be power if he means it and he's going to uphold what he said, then that's great.
The catch. Does he mean it? That's the catch.
Then that's great. But we have heard, and I think if Sabrina's still listening, she could chime in. She's heard in chat rooms and stuff. I think she's pretty connected with Green Party people, that there is some talk about CFAR is just a sheepdogging whatever, organization.
Actually, it's not so much about the CFAR contract. It's about the connections that we have as an entity. More like the stuff with real progressives, Draft Bernie, David Cobb, as a member of the Green Party. There's lots of questions behind him. It seems like a lot of the people that Victor has made associations with since Bernie did whatever each of you call it. I'm a throw under the bus sort of a person myself. A lot of those connections have a lot of question marks behind them.
Okay. Yeah. And it's hard. I'm never really comfortable talking about people by name, without them here. I don't really like doing that. But I will say this. I think I pretty much know Victor's intentions. I think maybe sometimes he's not aware of some of the associations with certain groups or people. I've noticed that a couple of times. I'll say that.
The names that I brought up are names that are not a secret, and the people that I'm speaking of know there are question marks behind their names. So.
Okay.
They know they're sketchy.
I don't want to hear that I'm carrying tales,
Yeah. Right.
But
Sabrina,
it doesn't really matter in the end as a viewpoint of the majority, whether Victor knows or doesn't know. We're tied to them. We're tied to them. Our name is going to either be strengthened by or weakened by our associations.
Right, exactly.
I'm curious, what's the issue with Cobb? I've heard people bring up Cobb before as a question mark. I'll use your language, as a question mark behind his name. I know Cobb was the guy who was like one of the Green Party candidates at one point.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on any of this. This is not my personal place of experience, but it's something to do with the 2004 Ralph Nader contest.
I see.
Right.
And there are two factions within the party and how it's viewed. And the preceding events, he seems to have a lot of ties to the Democratic Party. And that's probably about as far as I would be willing to go, because it isn't something that is a big passion of mine. It's just coming up a lot.
Yeah.
it's something that we need to just handle openly and get it out. Either we're all on the same page or we're not. The infighting, like you're saying, the backstabbing, the gossiping, it's really not doing anybody any good. And I'm sort of in several different areas trying to bring it to a head. We've got to either say we agree to disagree, we won't work together, or we're all working together, but we have different points of view, or prove that these things are being done or move away from it, because it's just costing us all time and effort, and it's a lot of drama. And I'm tired of being called names or different things that really don't have a lot to do with me.
Being called names? Where? I swear, man, this drama on the left. What are you being called?
It's horrible. You get called, of course, the Trump supporters and things like you guys have already talked about. But then there's also the sheep herding title is just so huge. And
I've used that one, sheepdog. Yeah.
You know, I think that either we need to be willing to back up what we're saying about people, or it needs to get dropped.
I've had some experience with Cobb myself. I reached out to him shortly after the election. I wanted to see if he had any running locally, and we chatted back and forth via email for a bit. And or when he realized I told him I was working for the post office, and there's this thing called the Hatch Act, and because of that, you know, you're handling mail, and you could be potentially handling your own you know, your own political mail, and it's just, yeah, that's what that law is against here. It's the Hatch Act, so it wouldn't be possible for me to run and be working for the post office.
So you can't endorse candidates, right?
What?
That's
Right.
how the Hatch Act works.
Right.
Okay. As far as Ro Khanna, I mean, I think he's window shopping. I think he realizes Justice Dems shot themselves in the face when they fired their media and promotion wing, which is TYT. And
I'm so glad you came on, Garden. I miss your commentary.
everyone loves to hear people bitching about TYT. It's an internet favorite nowadays.
Yeah.
But he's window shopping, and like, you know, I think he's jumping ship from Justice Dems and looking around for another progressive group. I think I don't think CFAR is a sheep herding group. I think it's a grassroots organization.
Well, I'm not going to be any part of it if it is. So, I mean, you guys know,
you know
us.
me.
And I want to just say, I personally hung out with people from the People's Party, and I can tell you right now, they don't buy the Russia bullshit.
No,
and they are not a sheep herding. I mean, maybe there are people within it that are, but I'm telling you right now, like, as far as the heads of that People's Party, that is not the case.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, that's just my personal. I mean, I spent time with them in New Orleans, and I would be very shocked. No, I won't even say that. I know for a fact they're not. So if that means anything,
I've spoken to Brana. I mean, and Brana.
Yeah, you had a big long interview with him.
Yeah, he was even trying to. I mean, I guess it doesn't make sense that there be sheepdogs. I mean, his whole point was a separate party from the Democratic Party, and all of his attacks and everything else that he's leveraging is a separate party. We need something distinct. We need something separate. I don't know how that gets melded into sheepdog.
Their biggest problem is they're not appealing to independents enough. I don't think that they're too far in a little, I don't know, segment over here, and they need to be appealing to broader groups, I think, or broader. Anyway.
Well, when I say this, don't misunderstand me. I'm not questioning Victor's integrity, okay? But it amounts to how much a person is willing to overlook and how much they can see to begin with.
Yes.
Okay, now if you're not able to do those things, you end up like the damn Tea Party, where you
end up co-opted
into some larger interest, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to guess you're speaking of the Real Progressives thing.
Yeah, like, and I think all groups are vulnerable to this sort of thing. You know, I mean, if their leadership wants power, they want to gain influence. How much are they willing to overlook
Mm-hmm.
in order to gain influence?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how politically savvy is the person to begin with?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm seeing a lot of that. I see it in Nick. I don't think Nick is very savvy per se. He's very intelligent, don't get me wrong, but I think he's missing some key factors, and I think the same can be said for Victor.
Mm.
What do you think he's missing, Garden?
Well, we've been through, like, are you talking about Nick?
Yeah.
Well, we've been over it a gazillion times. At first, there was no point in drafting Bernie. There's no point in pursuing that avenue, and he kept pursuing it. Now,
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Now he's trying to start this other initiative, and it's like, you know, it's 2018, brother. You know, it's a bit late to be starting this stuff up, even for 2020. And you've got no solutions for dealing with the power structure that surrounds you. I mean, you guys know, I mean, some of you guys know. I don't think our solutions are going to come through the elections. I think they're going to come through the courts.
Mm.
Okay, so until we deal with the wider infrastructure, there's no point. So I think Nick misses that.
I feel you. I don't think it was crazy to try to draft Sanders. I mean, I don't think Sanders was going to be involved. I don't think Nick was insane.
It went on too long, though. I mean, it was
I
clear.
think in his mind, he thought, see, I have a hard time, but look, if I would agree with you if Nick thought Sanders was going to come along. Like, if you honestly believed that Bernie Sanders was going to jump ship, then yeah, I agree with you. Then at that point,
He did for a long time.
Do you honestly believe he thought that, or do you honestly believe he was using that as this kind of political tool of sorts to try to get from point A to point B?
Well, if he's using it for a tool, then that's wrong.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the time to be playing games with the citizens.
No,
like,
I think
had enough game played with them, and if you keep playing them, you're just going to get rejected. You're just going to piss them off more.
Yeah.
So if that was what he was doing, like, I have a lower opinion on
yeah, no,
but I don't think that's what he was doing.
No.
I think that he was a true believer.
Yeah.
I guess I'm far more cynical than both of you guys. I thought I didn't. There was no part of me that thought Bernie Sanders was going to be a part of that process. And
no, I didn't either. But we think Nick did. Nick thought he would come along.
I don't know why he thought that. Like if that's true, if you guys are right, it's funny. I'm the opposite of Gardner on this. It's like my opinion of him drops if I thought that he honestly believed Sanders was going to come along. Look, politics to some degree is theater. Like, let's be honest. Like, I understand this thing of, you know, an honest politician. A lot of it is theater. The argument that I make to you is oftentimes what you leave from it is this kind of impression, this kind of emotional impression of the argument itself, not necessarily the logic of the argument. I would not be shocked if Nick Bronner was saying, I want to use Sanders as a lightning rod because nobody knows who Nick Bronner is. And if I'm trying to start an organization, even if I get the name of it, like even if I can just rub myself against Bernie Sanders just from the name standpoint and every so often get somebody to talk about this kind of People's Party for Sanders, I don't necessarily think it's insane to do that, nor do I necessarily think it's wrong to do that. But that being said, you guys could completely be right. I could be totally wrong on this.
Well,
and maybe this is me being a cynical SOB. I looked at it and I've talked to Bronner and I've said, I was like, Bronner, do you honestly believe that Sanders is going to do this? Because I'm like, why do you believe this if that's true? Now,
if Bernie was going to come along and go third party, he was going to do it during the primary. He could have easily, with all his momentum, just said, all right, I'm running independent or on green or whatever. That would have been
and the reason that draft Bernie is so bad is because, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the write-in option, correct?
Yeah, right.
That's where Bernie or Bust started. That was the alternative. And then we learned that there are 7 states that will not allow those write-ins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those 7 states are too big as a group for anyone to actually win the election without them being a part of the count.
Good point.
So draft Bernie as an effort from the beginning has big question marks because we proved at the very beginning of Bernie or Bust that that's not a viable option.
Yeah. Good point.
That's a good point.
I'm sorry. I got to get going. I got to get up before.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah,
I'm ready for bed as we're going.
Brian.
That's why I'm
Thanks
kind
a
of
lot for doing this, Jamal. See you guys soon.
Have a good night, Brian.
I have 2 videos that I need to do. Usually I would do these videos live, but fucking YouTube. So I am gonna do these vids now.
I want to say, before we go off, though, I meant to say this early on. So 2 things I was trying to find today. And if anybody knows where to find these, please tell me. All the millions of listeners we have. I've been trying desperately to find the original version of the movie Risk about Julian Assange. So if anybody remembers, Laura Poitras, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, she did a version that played at the Cannes Film Festival in 2016, and then she edited it later, which really apparently Julian Assange, all of them were not too thrilled about, because apparently the editing really showed him in a different light.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And so the 2016 version was available, I think, like on Showtime or somewhere. And I decided not to watch it. I was like, I want to see the first one first. Right. And the other thing is, do you guys remember the Revolution televised?
The Revolution will be televised.
Will not be televised.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually something. It's on YouTube. I tweeted it earlier. Viggo Mortensen narrated it. And it was by a company, I guess it was a film, I don't know, it was Right Brain, WRITE, Right Brain. And anyway, they had, I thought, several parts, but all I can find is the first part on YouTube, part 1. The Revolution will be televised, part 1, and it's fantastic. But anyway, I went to the Facebook page today of this Right Brain company, organization, whatever, and it said, as of December, it was basically defunct, gone. And it said you could get it on Blu-ray or something, but I don't know where to get it. So I can only find part 1 on YouTube. And I also really, even just doing a Google search, trying to find the damn first version of Risk, I can't find it. I don't know where it is.
Kelly.
I have no idea for either one of these. I know who Viggo Mortensen is, but I don't know the I've never heard of the movie. You're making me go and look this movie up.
Well, yeah, I really want to see. So you can find plenty of articles about Laura Poitras's editing and changing, how she changed, and basically the later version kind of really illustrates some of supposedly Julian Assange's sexist comments, because he was talking about the rape allegations, and it was what did he say? Something about it being a feminist conspiracy theory or something. I don't know. I'm I wouldn't be offended by that. It's stupid. But anyway, so apparently she talks about her relationship with Jacob Applebaum in it. I don't know if I'm saying that name right. But it really becomes, from what I've read, the film becomes a little bit more about her personal view on it.
Oh, I see.
And a little bit more about her relationship with Jacob. And I don't know, but I want to see the first one first.
The original, yeah.
I spent 30, 45 minutes just trying to find the damn thing, and I can't find it. So I don't know where you would get it. So, Garden, were you going to say something? I keep talking. Garden, do you know?
I've never heard of either of these films. It's The Revolution will be televised?
Well, no. So, yeah. The first thing is I'm trying to find Risk, which is a movie about WikiLeaks and Assange.
Yeah, I got that one.
Okay, yeah. So there are 2
but I haven't
versions.
seen it.
There are 2 versions, and the second one is the later edited U.S. version. Because we can't let American citizens see the first version. And that might show Assange in a favorable light. We can't have that. The other one is hang on, I tweeted it. The Revolution will be televised. Narrated by Viggo Mortensen. The Revolution televised. Episode 1, The Awakening of a Generation, is on YouTube. And I don't know if Jamal, you were there, right? In Philly? DNC week? Were you there?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
no.
Okay. We were there, and so the part where they're carrying the democracy coffin on this video,
wow.
we were right there. Yeah.
Well,
the democracy coffin. I love that.
just to make a quick point about Brana, like, okay, so he's using this to accrue power. All he's done to this point is accrue personal power. All right?
Oh, don't get me wrong. This is just my opinion. I don't know if
he hasn't accrued organizational power. Like, he hasn't formed an organization. So, I mean, you've met him. I haven't.
Yeah.
So you might have a better idea of where he's at in his head.
I mean,
you know, up till this point, really all I've seen out of his movement is the promotion of Nick Brana.
Okay,
so that's kind of suspicious. Like, and I'm not, you know, I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
Like, that is what we have seen. It's the truth. Like,
all right. Yeah. I'm going to say this. I consider myself a pretty good judge of character. I'm not going to go into reasons why, personally. But I have been fooled a couple of times, especially if it's somebody online until I meet them in person. Okay?
Yeah.
I have now sat across the table from Nick Brana. We walked along on Bourbon Street. I'm meeting him in person, hanging out. I don't get that feeling from him at all that he's some like power hungry person.
Yeah,
I just don't.
Well, feelings aside, like the truth is like nothing has come out of these movements so far except promoting him as a thought leader.
I see your point. He's such a like quiet person and this like unassuming. I mean, if that's true, I would just be so shocked because he's so the opposite of that kind of personality in person. Like, if anything, I will say this, and it's probably more than I should say, but he's too damn nice and people run all over him. I'm going to say that, and I'll leave it at that.
So, okay, still, it's a failed strategy. Whether you want to say that this is about, if it is about creating an organizational thing rather than just self-promotion.
Yeah. How long does it supposed to take for an organization to create? Like, if it's, I mean, come on. I mean, he's trying to
have something going, man.
What would be the Garden Gnome approved level of a party to be created within the period of 2 years?
2 years, like you should have some movements in multiple states. You should have some satellites.
Well, they have giant hurdles. There's no doubt. Yeah. But
you should have a clear, infrastructure as far as funding goes.
See, and that's the interesting part. That part I agree with you on, Garden. That part I agree with you on. It's like you need to be able to pay for the organization.
You need to be able to have parts of the organization which you pay. Yeah. Like you have to have, something there to pay. Like, so we're not seeing any of that so far. And again, I'm just being super critical and I'm just putting the facts out there. I'm not saying, like I said earlier, I actually think that Nick is a true believer.
Yeah.
When we look at results, we either have to see a failed strategy or we have to see some kind of 3D chess kind of plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Now, hey, I have a question.
Does the Green Party get... I remember sitting in on a meeting with the Green Party for like an hour. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, they're going to come up with some amazing shit in this meeting. And we're going to learn about strategy and everything else. It was an hour-long meeting on whether or not they should accept dues. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I fell asleep in that meeting because I'm like, if you're a lefty organization, you're completely distrustful of corporate money being into the political process. If you're not going to accept dues, where are you going to get the money from the run? Not to mention you have this other hurdle of people not wanting to give you money because they think they're wasting their money because they don't think you can get elected. How are you going to run? This is what I mean when I say I agree with you on this, Garden. It's like you need some capacity to fund yourself. How do you get your candidates in office, and what is the organization that you have in order to do that? That part I agree with you on, but I don't. I got to be honest. That's not the feeling I get from Brana. Like I don't get this feeling from Brana that he's malicious in this. I honestly. He feels like he's a true believer. Like he feels like when he's talking about this stuff, they do have an organization. Whether that organization is sufficient, is a thing that something has aggregated around. That's an open question. So fair enough. But I don't get the sense from him. Like this guy, I've had a conversation with Brana talking about like the Venus Project, and this was something he brought up, not something I brought up. Where this is this type of philosophy in regards to how the world should be arranged. if you could say, now you may say his strategy on this has failed. Okay, fair enough, an argument can be made. But I don't necessarily think he's in it for himself. I actually do think he's trying. He's trying.
And
Whether or not it works.
At this point, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But 5-6 years go by. There's
You got 5 years, buddy.
Limit to feelings, man. You got to look at results at some point.
Well, hey, what is your? I want honest. Seriously, I want to hear like honest opinions on real progressives. Anybody?
Oh God, you're asking us live.
Oh.
Do it live.
Is anybody watching? Nobody's watching. Wait. I think we have one viewer, and that might be me, because I have it open on the other laptop.
Now you guys are affiliated with him, right? I mean,
well, yeah, yes, we've merged, I guess. Okay. Whatever the hell that means, I don't know.
I'll let Garden go first. Go ahead, Garden.
Yeah, we have one.
It doesn't matter if like what I say, so sure. We don't want to bury Jamarl's funding in some like political quagmire. He's caught himself in.
That asshole was on Twitter.
That's fucked up that they like took away your super chats,
dude. They took away my super
God damn it.
I couldn't believe that shit. I'm sitting here looking at it like, what the fuck? I thought that because they cut it off in midstream, that somebody was watching the video with saying progressive. And that they just cut the shit off because of what we were talking about. And I see this little thing pop up, and it says something like, your Russian trial was not approved for, BRICS community guidelines. And I'm like, what? They're like, what? Look, if they would have cut the video off with saying, and they said, look, you guys are going into these kind of uncharted waters that we don't particularly like, I would disagree with it. I don't think you should take those things down, but I could understand it. But the Russian troll thing, oh man, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
well,
I couldn't believe that shit.
I thought that we had some fucking snitch in there. YouTube has become a culture of snitches. Really, it has. The YouTube community monitors or whatever they instituted, it's a snitch community. Yeah. I mean, between this and the goddamn show trials that are going on in DC, I mean, it feels like we're in the era of Stalin.
Yeah.
Like between the snitching and the show trials, it's ridiculous. But at first, I thought that like it was taken down because of
what we're talking about. Yeah, I thought, me too. I was like, damn it.
Dude, did I institute this? Because I was the one who was like, bring Debbie on. You got to be fair. And all of a sudden, like, hundreds of dollars vanished from Jamarl's wallet.
My only hesitation for bringing Debbie on, it had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with, this wasn't about Debbie. Like all these people on the channel, because they know I'm fans of Debbie, and they're fans of Debbie themselves. So me bringing this up, and they know that she's the most ardent person for this. Like, that's her thing. This is her soapbox. And they immediately took it as, you're talking about Debbie. And it's like, I'm not talking about Debbie. I was talking about a video I was watching these guys talking about aliens attacking the planet. That's where all of this came from. Like, I'm in the shower listening to this particular video. I didn't mind bringing Debbie on in a sense. Debbie can make her case. I fucking love Debbie. She's fucking awesome. Even when I disagree with her, like on this, I don't mind bringing her on so she can speak her piece. I thought they cut me off because of that too. Like, we were in it. I was like, God damn it. And then I thought to myself, maybe they just cut the stream. And then I saw the thing talking about a strike on your account. It was like, motherfucker.
Well, I came in, dude, and like Debbie was chatting up a fucking storm, right? She was like, Jamal, you're wrong.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, what the hell? And like, I was like, this makes for a good show. Like, Debbie, she gets his, it's important to give Debbie a voice because she has.
Yeah, that's right.
She has been censored. And so there's and there's like, hey man, it'll be a good show. All of a sudden, some fucking wild, crazy mix thrown in there, and then all of a sudden, wham,
shit goes down. I'm talking to her for like another 30 minutes after it goes down, and I'm like, Debbie, I think they've taken me down. She was like, really? I said, I think they've taken me down. I think my channel has gone down. And in the back of my head, I'm like, motherfucker.
I think that is just the scariest thing. The fact that the mainstream media has convinced at least half this country that we need to censor all of this, and really what's happening is censoring dissent on the left.
Yeah.
I mean, I
On
know
both left and right, by the way.
Yeah, way back when Glenn Greenwald first wrote about it.
They're deleting accounts, actually. It's not just YouTube. It's YouTube, Amazon. YouTube is Google, Facebook. There's issues with Snapchat right now. Twitter, of course, yes. All of the major media moguls are kind of fighting each other with the same tactics against us.
So why don't we, okay, let's shut down MSNBC for lying about fucking Russiagate for a year and a half. I mean, this is just insane. I don't know where this stops.
Well, cash dictates the mainstream at that point. The amount of money that you can put behind a particular viewpoint is the thing that indicates mainstream. I mean, Fox News is fucking insane. I mean, MSNBC has gotten to that point too. But if you remember during the Bush administration, Fox News was fucking insane. I mean, they had no association with the truth at all, but they considered Fox News mainstream. I mean, it's the amount of money that you pump into it that matters. Not so much.
I talked to someone earlier today who told me they pulled up a Lee Camp video on YouTube, and it said something about, warning, this content is from Russia or something.
Right here. I can show it to you. I mean, it's not just Lee Camp. Anything that comes from RT is going to have that stick right here.
Right. Because Larry King is a Putin puppet.
I know
RT is funded in whole or in part by the Russian government. They have it on each and every video from RT. Even if it's Lee Camp, even if it's what's the other cat that used to be on MSNBC?
So this Department of Homeland Security announcement from 2 weeks ago that says that NBC News was misrepresenting what actually happened, and there is no hacking shown. So why is that not plastered all over?
Doesn't matter. Justice is selective is not necessarily, blind in this way. I mean, the whole blind justice thing is somewhat of a myth in order to make it seem fair.
Okay, but do you guys, aside from us talking online, in real life, people that you speak to, are you hearing any more people like actually waking up and going, wait a minute, all that year and a half that I was strung along, it was just Twitter bots? Like, do you hear that from other people now? Are they kind of going, what the hell?
Family. Like, so people watch my channel. I got to be honest. I spend a lot of time online, so I don't necessarily have this outside life that I used to have, like talking about. I mean, and trying to grow my channel has been somewhat a singular focus on this. This is why this angers me so much. The cutting me off on the knees on it.
Well, when I go see my daughters, play at school, I don't usually bring it up with the other moms because
it's like, by the way, this stuff is bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, well, I might get her uninvited from every birthday party and things like that, so I shut my mouth.
It depends on how ensconced they are in the point of view. A friend of mine, when he came over, his thing was Russia hacked us or something like that. And as you're talking your way through it, I'm like, what percentage do you honestly believe it had an impact on the election? Do you really believe that you lost because of it? No, I don't believe we lost because of it. But that's the first thing you mentioned when you and I met. Well, yeah, because Russia, invaded our elections. It's this weird argument. It's just a weird argument.
No. The brainwashing is so deeply set in at this point that I don't think you can get past it with a lot of people, I guess.
It depends. So if they're going to engage in the conversation, they're going to lose that conversation because the conversation is too ridiculous. It's it's like, yeah, man, Facebook and Twitter ads took down this election for Hillary Clinton, and it's like Facebook and Twitter ads, huh? Yes, Facebook and Twitter ads. Russia attacked us. It sounds so absurd to kind of make that argument. I find myself when I do videos thinking to myself, why do I have to make this argument? This seems too ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're telling me that a Facebook and Twitter ad, when I first started my channel, I would put Facebook and Twitter ads. And so it's like I know the mechanics of this, where you're just sending a little ad. This might be a mistake. And then the argument that they're making is this is some kind of troll, army, that these guys have attacked democracy and that these guys are attacking America. Something's insane.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Show trials.
Yeah.
These ridiculous show trials. I mean, the Stalin era show trials some of them were less absurd than this, to be frank. In a nation of starving people, there might be some child cannibalism. Okay, so that's more reasonable because that was one of the focuses of these show trials. It's more reasonable than that occurred than it is that like Jesus arm wrestling Satan shaped the election.
Jesus wants you to choose.
I'll tell you another thing, man. If you find out who decided to seat Jill Stein at that table, because the thing people always seem to miss is this isn't like going into your local restaurant, man. Yeah. Like, you have a place that you are assigned and you sit there. So if you find out who assigned Jill Stein that seat, you'll have a better idea of what the fuck's going on.
Well, the thing is, I mean, but that would assume that they would have known that this insanity was going to take place.
See, they did. They
assumed Clinton was going to win. I mean, I guess I thought everybody assumed that Clinton was going to win that election. Like, so I guess
carpet bomb. That's the thing, man. You carpet bomb. Even if you think you're going to win, you still destroy your opponents.
That's fair. That's fair.
So what do you think is going to happen in 2018, Gordon? What do you elect as far as the election midterms? Do you have any predictions?
I don't know. I think the Democrats might pick up some seats.
I was thinking that too.
Okay.
Like, will there be significant change in our lives or in policy? No. Will there be significant change in 2020? No. We're looking at another couple of cycles of this minimum. That's my philosophy. Minimum. And you know what wipes away brainwashing? Scarcity. When you're hungry, you stop living in a fucking fantasy world.
Yeah.
And like you know, start doing things. Like you go out and you protest. You don't buy as much garbage that you don't need. Like, divestment and protest movements, of course, will amp up more scarcity.
Sorry, I want to quote George Carlin here. He says something about I think it was his last stand-up. It's bad for you. I believe that's the one where he says it. He's like, when everybody has a cell phone that'll make you pancakes and rub your balls for you. Something like that. Like, everybody's just too damn comfortable was his point, you know?
Yeah.
And even my neighbor, who's, I don't know, they're in their 30s, they don't quite understand what I'm doing. I think at first they thought I was a Trump supporter, and then my husband works with her husband. But so I was kind of explaining, I'm interviewing, like, you know, grassroots candidates and all this, and they kind of get it, but she was like, well, none of this is going to change until people, you know, on our street are, you know, they're like UNC professors and stuff, until people are uncomfortable, like, and in the middle upper, and you know, you guys know my story. I've lived kind of every rung of the economic ladder, so I have a different perspective. But where I live now, most of these people don't. They've never struggled.
There's a huge period now, in a 30, 40 plus year period in American history, where people have just forgotten how to do these things. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Like, and in addition to that, we're coping with all of these new technologies. So, like, we probably won't accomplish a whole lot, like, in the next 10 or 15 years. But what we're doing is we're learning how to do it, and we're showing other people how to do it.
Yeah, we're just sitting here talking to ourselves.
And there are many groups like the ones that we have.
Yeah, that's true. But so we have to figure out.
So the citizens are relearning how to take back their own power.
Yes. Yeah. Right, but we have to do something about getting off of these platforms like YouTube that can just shut you down for bullshit.
Oh, that agree.
Well, and as far as that goes, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to separate the rams from the sheep. They're trying to get, like, the rogue voices off onto these smaller platforms like where they are all in one place and you can watch what they're doing pretty easily.
Yeah.
A bunch of cat videos on YouTube.
That's a good point. And also then you have the rest of everybody shunning that. Like, Steemit is the Russian channel, or Steemit is the, you know, nut jobs over here that think. And then, then you have everybody separated and they don't ever hear those things.
That turns it into a piñata.
Yeah.
It depends on how bad they get. So some of the channels that I watch comic book channels also. And I've seen them do videos bitching about YouTube, essentially saying that they've been suppressing our videos, comic books, like literally saying, you know, they've been taking down or not striking our videos, but they've been going after our videos and demonetizing a whole host of videos, even though these videos about comic books. There's nothing antagonistic about it. They aren't going after anybody or anything else. They're literally talking about comic books.
And I think some of this shit is just straight up about cash. The more people you don't have to pay,
the better off you are, right? Because they still get the content, by the way.
I mean, they're doing it against
yeah.
And like my daughter's little YouTube channels. Somebody named PewDiePie is like the #1 most subscribed YouTuber, and they've demonetized his page. And he has no political agenda. He has no religious agenda. He's just out there kind of being an idiot from all I
There
can
was something controversial about him. I don't remember what it was, but something.
He did something and was like with language that he used. And it might have been some recent event. Was it too soon? Kind of a joke or something. And then they took his example, and that's how they're attacking a lot of these others, that it's now inappropriate content and that they're getting sponsors pulling ads and things like that. And so that's supposedly why they're doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, they're still keeping the content.
Jamal, have you ever gotten in an argument with Prop or Not?
No, I don't even know who that is.
Twitter. Well, they were mentioned in an early on Intercept article about just about this, that they're the mainstream media and YouTube and all these things, they're censoring under the guise of like they're protecting us from bad information, right? But really that it's censoring the dissent on the left. And the Intercept wrote an article about this organization, Prop or Not, that had written out like this blacklist. And on that list were, I can't even remember. You'd have to look up the article.
Oh, it was like, is that the one that like Truth Dig, Alternate?
Yes, yes.
I remember
and
this.
And so it included all of that. But
that stuff was so ridiculous. And they've censored those guys. I mean, Alternate and Truth Dig lost like 90% of their audience, like the traffic that was going to the page itself.
But I got in a Twitter argument. They actually answered back. And it was so bad, though. I mean, it was like you were talking to some telemarketer. I don't know who they are. If they're like some, correct the record, Brock. I don't know. But like their grammar was bad, and they were just like trying to pick a fight with me. I finally just blocked them. But I just ended up. It was about the article, and I was referencing that and saying Prop or Not did this, and so I had like probably a bunch of tweets. At them, and they actually were responding and just attacking me. It was crazy, but it was so stupid.
What I've been seeing is kind of, you know how if you've got brothers and sisters, like bullying kind of gets passed down the chain, right? Okay, now the bullying that we've seen kind of started with Hillary and the whole convention and all that, and it went to a new phase after Trump was elected.
Yes.
Whereas reformers of the Democratic Party are now treating non-reformers the way the DNC treated the entire progressive community.
Now, to be fair,
I see reformers using these bullying tactics to try to bully people. I'm a non-reformer. I don't think that the DNC can be reformed.
Agreed.
No, I agree.
Okay, so like what you're seeing is reformers taking on these kind of bullying attitudes and tactics that the DNC used against the wider progressive community, except that they're using them against non-reformers.
Right.
The funny part is, I honestly think, though, the non-reformers regard them in a similar way. Like I don't think it's all, like, I understand what you mean, the bullying in a sense. I mean, because the larger networks, like a TYT, Cedar, those type of guys, they have
the balance of power.
Yeah. Right, they have the balance of power in this. In which case, they have the largest megaphone, and so they scream at the top of their lungs that they want to reform. And it's like, you bitch all you want, but at the end of the day, if you tell your people to vote for Hillary Clinton, then it tells you how honest you guys are. But think about that. Like, and I don't necessarily give TYT a huge amount of shit about this, but you're supposed to be this kind of progressive lefty network. They held up for a vote on whether people should vote for Hillary Clinton, and the majority of those people said no, meaning their own network said no. And they still came out making this video about why people should vote for Hillary Clinton and all this other stuff. It's almost like they can bitch, they can moan, they can complain, they can do all that stuff. At the end of the day, though, you're still going to tell those people to vote for a Democrat. And if that's true, then what's the point of your bitching and moaning and complaining?
Right, right.
You can never hold them accountable. Yeah,
I guess ratings. Yeah, I'm with you.
They did the same thing in 2012, by the way.
They did?
Really? Did it?
Yeah, they complained and complained and complained about Obama, and then and then when it came time, they went hardcore in Obama's camp and would ignore, I mean, it was just a repeat.
Yeah.
Except the stakes were crazier because, like, you've got this crazy Trump situation. I can't believe we're even in this crazy.
Yeah. Trump's a fucking maniac. I voted for Jill Stein because I voted for somebody who represented my interests, and at the same token, that woman chose. She cheated. So I'm not going to co-sign the cheating thing. But I didn't take this attitude that Trump was this kind of placid person. I thought it was fucking maniac. But it was like, oh, God, this is going to be bad. And there's one of those things, it's like he wins, and you're shocked, but at the same token, happy that she didn't win. It's this weird combination of, okay, I don't know how to feel about this. I think the guy's a maniac. At the same token, I'm glad that she didn't win that election. It was this thumb in the eye of all these people who, like you said, the bullies in this process, a thumb in their eye because they tried to act as if that woman was set to win that election.
Well, to be frank, it felt like a victory for democracy.
That's so weird. Yeah, that's so weird. I know, but it's bizarre, right? It's so fucked up and bizarre. But I understand what you're getting at. I understand what you're getting at.
That's why I just want to see them keep losing until they change. And I'm in the non-reformer camp. I mean, the only way is
to lose.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nothing changes. Right. I know that sounds bad. It's not that in Virginia recently, when the guy, a few people won, a few Democrats won. I think, if I'm not even mistaken, they flipped the House over, meaning Democrats took the House and the governorship. And after taking the House and the governorship, the governor of Virginia comes in and doesn't implement the Medicare, meaning doesn't implement the extension to the Medicaid in order for more people to take it on. And it's talking about fiscal responsibility. The guy used to be a Republican, and that's the guy who they have running in the Democratic Party, and that's the guy who they fought for in order to get that guy elected. It's amazing.
Yeah, see, one thing about CFAR right now, and I keep telling Victor and everybody this, is there are way too many Democrats. Now, I don't have a problem with Tim Canova. I think he means business. I wish somebody like that would go independent, but he's Democrat. That's fine, whatever. I don't really care about party to an extent. But we have way too many Dems on I think, Sabrina. Would you agree with that? I think we need to have...
I think it adds on to all the things that I've been talking about. There's just too many pieces right now that feel more Dem enter to me than Dem exit.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. That is a good point. That is a damn good point.
Well, I will be no part of any kind of sheepdogging shit.
No, I don't think it's sheepdogging, but I understand her point. She's making this case of, I understand I think Victor's thing is, we don't just want to be a pusher. Like, we want to actually win. Like, we want to actually be in a capacity in order to get wins and victories. And we don't necessarily just want to be this part where we're trying to push people to a particular way. And I think in his mind, he may have taken this aspect of, well, if you can conform or bend Democrats to your will, then you have a better chance of getting those people in office, as long as you're bending them to your will. Sabrina's point in this, though, is straightforward. It's like, yeah, but if you're doing that, you're trying to get people to vote Democrat. Now, if you're a lefty and you're looking at this like, I don't want to be a part of this particular party, then you're stuck with that. Like, you're stuck with like, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to say you're going with CFAR and you're saying that the goal of CFAR is to get these candidates to bend to your will, if those candidates are already going your way, those candidates are probably not necessarily going to be Democrats. If you're going to get them to bend and if you're going to get them to sign that pledge, they're probably going to be Democrats.
Yeah, we just have to looking at each candidate, honestly, individually. And like, I don't think we should just go after just anybody. I think we really need to go after, it needs to be more selective. That's my opinion. Otherwise, you cheapen, you run the risk of having people just sign on and it being meaningless. I don't want to see that happen.
One of the issues and one of the big problems, there's a couple of problems with the CFAR, and because a lot of their strategies are similar, these groups,
Mm-hmm.
from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, like there's only been a couple that I've really looked into,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just more out of curiosity than looking for solutions.
Mm-hmm.
But like, here, hold on a second. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. No, I want to hear what you have to say because.
Well, there's a couple of issues with the CFAR strategy. The first one being that voting blocks require, you to have control over districts
Mm-hmm.
in such a way that I don't think a third party can really manage at this point. Like the two parties are so ensconced in our system that they engage in things like gerrymandering
Mm-hmm.
and voter suppression and whatever. So will you ever get that block? Like maybe in 50 years you might. I don't know. It would take a hell of a long time, I think, if it was even possible.
Mm.
And this, then I've heard other points. Like I think Victor brought up one time that he was trying to reach out to Joe Kennedy or some shit.
Yep.
I was like, you think you're going to co-opt
What?
Joe Kennedy? You think you're going to draw him away from the Kennedy legacy and have him lead some kind of populist movement?
I missed that one. I didn't hear that.
Wow.
I think that's
that
what
guy's State of the Union response. Oh man.
Like, I don't know if you watched that interview with Victor Tiffany.
No, I didn't see that.
That's
James was
wow.
doing it.
That's
And I
funny.
believe that's what he was saying. Like, I was
Okay.
doing the dishes or something while
What
listening.
interview was
But he
that?
brought up, like, I think James on Manitalk was did
What
that
interview was it though? Victor and
just
who?
a couple of weeks ago. Like,
Victor
it was
with
a
who?
month ago, maybe.
He
Who
said
was he?
James from Manitalk.
Oh, he was talking to James?
Yeah, like they did an interview.
Oh, I totally missed that. I can't watch everything.
So I believe that's what he said. So you have like,
Oh.
and then like you said, Kelly, there's just some things that some of these people don't see, and I don't want to single Victor or Nick
Yeah.
out,
Right.
but they're just the clearest examples that we can
Yeah.
use right.
Well, look, it's
There's
hard.
either things that
to-
they don't see or they choose not to see.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that's the
Well,
issue.
I will say I don't know. Again,
So I think these smaller movements like suffer from like lack of leadership.
yeah. Right.
I think that's one of their issues, and
Right.
they don't recognize the reality, the context that they're in.
Mhm.
A lot of the groups don't, you know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I would say that I think it's more of not realizing because it's hard to keep up with all the. I mean, the left is. I don't know what to say. The left, whatever that is so fragmented, and you don't know which alliances might be good or hurt, and then. I mean, I don't know everything everyone says in some other video somewhere else, It's hard to keep up with all that. So, I mean, recently I just caught wind of something about, like, all of a sudden, because Jimmy Dore had Caitlin Johnstone on,
Oh God.
that's
Go
bad.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, have you heard this?
Yeah, like you better hope this shit doesn't go live, Jamal.
My wife my wife came upstairs. She was like, "That's a goddamn shame you went after that kid."
Yeah,
I
Progressive
was
Voice is
like-
gonna beat your fucking ass.
What did I miss? What?
The reason why Jamal stays up this late is because he has night terrors.
Because I'm terrified of Progressive Voice. Terrified. That kid is going to be stalking outside.
Yeah, you'll see it like your spirit guide. The next time your spirit guide pops up, it's going to come in the form of Progressive Voice, dude. And it's not going to be friendly this time.
Oh man,
It's going to be carrying a fucking bat.
So what he's talking about is Progressive Voice did this video where he just
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
her
yeah,
name?
yeah. Okay,
put a
I know.
knife in her, called the woman a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
said she was like Alex Jones. And mind you, Alex Jones is the guy who's talking about there's lizard people who shapeshift, and he's making this kind of thing talking about this woman is like Alex Jones and all this other stuff. And I did a video kind of making the point that I was like, who is this child going after Caitlin Johnson or Jimmy Dore? And said that he's saddened by Jimmy Dore bringing him onto the show and all this other stuff. It's like, come on, I mean, I don't even know if he read the article where he knows what the hell he's talking about. It's
Watch
like,
the TYT clip, man.
that's probably what it was.
That's what he did. I can almost fucking guarantee it.
Oh my god! And you wonder, like, why most people have no idea about all this stuff. Think about
this
how
is
much.
the same kid that went after Sane Progressive. Sane Progressive. When Justice Democrats first came out, I never forget it. Hard Bastard did this video where he was kind of showing all these aspects of the left, and this kid was in the video. And first, when Justice Democrats comes out, Justice Democrats does his thing. There's this big splash. People are kind of excited. Other people. Same Progressive was on the side of, yeah, I don't trust this. This seems a little bogus. And you're fusing a media organization to a political organization. So this looks a little sketchy. It's like, did you like it when Hillary Clinton was working with the media in order to fuck over Sanders? Now, Cal makes this video talking about get the fuck out the way. He flips out completely. Like, let's just an entire video of Cal screaming at the top of his lungs for like an hour.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Progressive Voice comes out in his video and is screaming at Sane Progressive, talking about, you need to get off the way. Like, losing it on video immediately after Cal makes his video. It's like he got his marching orders and he comes out with his marching orders to attack Sane Progressive.
But now, what was it about? About
it was
what?
because Sane Progressive was against the Justice Democrats idea. Her thing was, look, if you're going to have a media organization, how the hell are you starting a political organization? How can we trust whatever you're saying from a media context if you're having a political organization?
I don't watch her, and you guys know. So she blocked me when after. I've never had.
I remember all of that, Kelly.
No, I've never had any interaction with her. I watched a little bit, during the Democratic primary. I thought she was good on covering what happened, but when she, to me, and we'll be up till 4 a.m. if we get into that, but the Vegas stuff was just too much. I'm where you are on that, and I don't go down that road, and so.
But in this case, she wasn't talking about any kind of conspiracy.
Yeah,
stuff. It
right.
was Justice Democrats is and I understood her point. Her main point boiled down to, if it's one thing if a candidate ran and you gave that particular candidate money, that's one thing. It's a little different when you're talking about you're having a media wing and that media wing is going into politics, and then it becomes what's true. Mm-hmm. When Nomiki Konst was in the Democratic National Committee thing, the Reform Commission, also a reporter for TYT. And that looks bizarre. One of the other things came out was apparently she was writing somebody else's speeches that was a Democrat. And it's like, how are you writing somebody else's speeches? You're supposed to be in the media. It's like pick a pony. But that's kind of besides the point. You can disagree with her without flipping out in the way they flipped out. And my issue with this was like, why are you just jumping on board with whatever they're saying? I mean, Cal flipped out. And you had a lot of people who looked at what Cal did. It was even if they loved Justice Democrats, they thought it was a good idea. Did not like him flipping out. Progressive was not so much. He got his marching orders. He went out. He put a knife in Progressive. And I saw it. I was like, all right, this kid is, And I made no videos about it or anything like that. It was just, all right, and left me with somewhat of a bad impression because I felt like he was just following, he was a toady.
Okay, well, here's this is in defense of Progressive Voice. That's a little fucking thesis. In defense of
I've never heard. I just know.
And by the way, someone made a video defending him.
Really? No way,
they did, dude. Like I didn't watch. It was like I couldn't watch it. Like I didn't have the interest or the time, but I saw it. It's out there.
I've never heard him. I just know
like a couple
of
minutes of it. Anyway, here's my defense of Progressive Voice. All right, it's funny that you brought up Kyle because back in the day, Kyle was also a Cenk clone.
Yes, he was.
He used to dress like Cenk. He used to fucking act like Cenk. He would not criticize TYT. He would follow the stories. He is doing kind of a better version of what Progressive Voice is doing now, right? But granted, he's a bit older, whatever. So. Anyways, as time went on, Kyle did develop his own voice.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and he developed, and it's kind of culminated now in the fact that they're just kind of openly debating.
Yeah.
And there were some points in that debate where they kept it respectful, but there was some teeth. There's some punches with some jabs thrown.
I've seen Cal debate. If he can be vicious when he debates. Like he can be a bit of an asshole when he debates. Yeah. He was being very respectable.
Now wait, are you
Dave Rubin and Kyle? Do you ever see?
Oh, I have not seen that. They had a debate
because they talk about Israel quite a bit.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay.
So wait, were you talking about Kyle and Jenks debate or Kyle and Progress? Okay.
Kyle and Jenks.
I tried to watch that. I couldn't listen to Jenk.
He lost me in that debate so many times. I mean, he's talking about soft bombs, like that they dropped bombs and it wasn't a big deal that they were dropping bombs in other countries. Couldn't believe that. I'm sitting there like, this guy's supposed to be a lefty, and he's talking about Nerf bombs. Like, it's not a big deal. And mind you, like a day after they had that debate, a day or two after, the United States killed like 100 Syrians. So either they're Nerf bombs or they're not. I don't know. I've never heard of a Nerf bomb. But yeah, that debate was aggravating, so I feel you. But Kyle ate him alive.
I'm so sick of like debunking these ridiculous points. We've been over them 1,000
I know.
And the fact is, you don't know what was in that hangar. Number one.
Yeah.
Like, what if like there was a person in that hangar? Just one person that you wanted to kill. What if there was a piece of equipment that was stored with a bunch of the old planes? I mean, the list of possibilities just goes on and on. Possibilities that are more likely than Trump being Putin's slave.
Yeah.
Or him acting in the strategic interest of the USSR because Trump caught him, like, you know, he was caught with some whores or there's been some fucking money laundering.
He got peed on. Yeah. I mean, it's like, come on. Yeah. Yeah.
And even the more legitimate claims like fall apart when you, or the more serious claims, I should say, fall apart.
I just wonder
under any kind of examination.
I just wonder where all this independent media is going as we keep having all these splits, and I don't know. I just wonder, and the censorship, you know, what's going to happen with it all. I guess, as you said, Garden, it might get, you know, pushed over in certain areas, and
the censorship bothers me more than anything else. The independent media thing, I think it's good. Like I think it's valuable. I mean, if you have this breakaway from mainstream media, you have it for a reason. It's not, you know. And when you're talking about people who are from zero to, well, not zero, but like 40 and under, they're not watching mainstream news.
Right.
Like they're literally watching independent media. But censorship is a question. Like, what stories, you know, they have this ministry of truth. What's the thing that they make the determination of what's true, and are they trying to isolate information for it? So
one of the things Brian and I were going to start trying to do, and this is like open to everybody, we really don't want to just talk to ourselves. I'm glad you guys came on. As we were talking about, like on Tuesdays, I think we're going to be doing something with CFAR candidates and maybe bringing, I don't know, other experts in. But on Fridays, we wanted to do like basically kind of just going over the news and like just as factual as possible, that would then kind of go into just our discussions that usually kind of go all over the place, right?
To lead off your point, Kelly, about them isolating us and like the kind of reconsolidation, like separating the sheep from the rams, whatever you want to call it. But that's going to, right now, the reason why all these groups are separated and are even more factional than they probably should be is because of some of the censorship and the intentional division of groups that YouTube's policies cause. All right, so once you remove from that environment, and you're going to isolate them off someplace else,
right? There's
going to be a new social structure that forms, and there's going to be these new alliances that form as a result of that. So I mean, that's the thing. Like, these idiots, these kinds of control methods have been used before, where they try to isolate the Rams or whatever, and what usually ends up happening is the Rams start to work together. And they start to work together in ways that the wider power structure doesn't understand or can't keep up with. We've been through this goddamn shit so many times in history. Like, when are we going to goddamn learn that you need to let the population go? You need to let them have control of the society.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that, as like people, the Rams, as you put it, working together, because I see so much of this division. Like, I mean, just to take the one example of the uproar over Jimmy Dore having Caitlin Johnstone on. I mean,
was that really an uproar? I mean, I know there was one guy. There was somebody else bitching too.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it on here, but
oh, fair enough. But
yeah,
fair enough.
But I mean, I understand to a point, because like, I mean, I read a lot of her stuff, and I think she makes a lot of great points. But I also didn't agree with her, though. Like working with Cernovich, to me, that was just a little too far. Like, but if we're gonna get down into that, I mean, it just keeps fragmenting, you know. And I don't know. We can't work together to like, you know, I don't know. That's
I asked her about it today. I was like, I really wish you would have used some other name other than Cernovich.
Yeah.
But I understood you. It's like, but at the same token, I really wish people would have, you know, kind of got past themselves and looked at their larger point that she was making. It was just kind of,
I mean, it was like, just one. It was one thing she said. Does she really have any like relationship with this guy?
No, none. Right. Like that's the amazing part. They're like, the woman is a Nazi, the woman is a white supremacist.
Yeah, exactly.
The woman is a conspiracy theorist. The woman is Alex Jones, and it's like, where are you guys getting this from?
Well, it's the same thing that happened with Claudia, remember?
Yes.
When she, like...
Claudia flipped out in a meeting, and all of a sudden she's a white supremacist because she flipped out.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, she shouldn't have pushed, I guess, to live stream there. We had that talk about that. But, yeah, it's the same thing, so then we split people more. When really, if you look at, like, the bigger picture, they all want the same things. It's so stupid.
Or even just look at them as human beings. I mean, people are going to behave in some ways that you don't necessarily always agree with. It becomes, is this that big of a deal when I'm flipping out over? Now, Claudia shouldn't have flipped out. I mean, that being said, the woman is not a white supremacist. It's like, come on. It's like both things can be true. She can act poorly in a situation. People can act poorly in all sorts of situations. They can get into their feelings and all sorts of stuff. She thought she was being, you know, silenced because it was a black meeting. It's like, these darkies are forcing me not to be able to, you know, to live stream. And it's like, no, it's not that. It just so happens that everyone here, because this is an African American meeting, and we already designated the person to live stream. It's not personal. Now, she took this totally personal. Like, how dare you stop me from live streaming in this place?
Right.
And she made the video saying that they were doing it because she was white. And then they make the video saying that she's racist because they're making, like, I mean, it's,
I asked Shirley. I asked Shirley, who is on. I think she's still probably on Avon's channel a lot. I asked Shirley, older. I don't know, how old is she? In her 50s, late 50s, maybe. Garden. Anyway,
I'm not sure.
I asked her what she thought about it, and because I'm a white middle-aged person, so I want a different perspective, and I heard yours too. But she's older, and she said, yeah, I mean, there's a history of white people coming in and co-opting our movements. And I don't think I would have thought about that. Like, oh yeah, obviously, right.
But that wasn't really a movement. That was just
no. But she's saying, like, why would anyone in that group maybe react that way?
Oh, I see.
To Claudia.
See, I'm not sure exactly what happened. Perhaps, like, I don't even really remember. Like, I think Claudia claimed that someone made a reference to her race, to Claudia's race, during that exchange. And so it could be true that they only wanted one live stream, regardless of what. They just want to be the only stream. And who knows, maybe one person in there might have been a bit bigoted against white people.
Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, like, Jesus Christ.
But
Claudia's a bit sensitive, and I could understand maybe how she was hurt by that. And the people attacking her, they're also over emotional and ridiculous.
Yeah, oh yeah,
It's
so over the top. I mean, it's so over the top. I mean, some of the stuff doesn't require that much. It's like the amount of energy that was put into that, and it's like, why are you? Look, it's one thing to say this person acted poorly. Fair enough. Like that's, but
I wasn't there. That's all I got to say. How people acted.
No. I was there. I mean,
you were?
Well, I wasn't
at
that particular meeting. No, I wasn't at the room. I was at the conference, the anti-war conference. It was held in Virginia, in Richmond. Look, if somebody is flipping out over something that they see as being unfair, fair enough. But does it need to go to the level that it went? I guess that's what I'm getting at when I say I'm behaving poorly. Like, one person loses it and flips out, does a video about it. Somebody else flips out, does a video about the person who did a video about it. And it's like, oh my God, you guys are losing it. And then it becomes not this person felt a particular way about something that took place. It becomes this person's racist, this person's a bigot, this person is this person is that. And you're like, because she behaved acted out of character in that moment, or because she has some feelings about it, that all of a sudden this stuff is taken to this level.
What's the wider context here? Like, why are people treating each other this way?
Because it's all on video. Because I thought about this today. Are we ever going to get to a point where it's like, so we're so saturated with this, like everybody's got to have this overly dramatic reaction? Because
why is one side like
everywhere?
So offended by the presence of a person of another race, regardless of however you want to combine these things, that they feel the need to exclude them or attack them, or they have these reactions to these minor incidents that are just way overblown? Like, why are people having these extreme reactions?
I think we're just conditioned at this point. I mean, we could point at all kinds of different things. Reality TV, I don't know. There's video of everything. Everybody's on YouTube. So the more, crazy you act and the more like reaction you have, the more response you get, I guess. I mean, there's got to be some of that.
Part of social conditioning, I think. It's a way to keep us divided. Yeah. Racism as an institution was created in this country. It's an ugly, ugly thing to be treated poorly, whether it's for religion, for your grouping, for your skin color, for your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. It's horrendous. And it's been done throughout history. But there was never this horrible context of soullessness until America. And that's where we get the institution that is racism, a true hatred of someone instead of just a classification like slavery, which has always existed throughout all cultures. And, oh, I'm sorry, it's getting a little late. I'm not sure where each of you are. It's almost midnight here, but I'm trying to say genome, but it's not genome. It's their, your genetic background. And the fact is that it's a misnomer to begin with. There are no true races any longer unless you want to talk like Aborigines or Pygmies that have such a selective breeding pool that they really are a separate branch of the human race, and they're doing it to keep us divided. So they'll pick anything to keep us going on, whether, we're focused on the Las Vegas shooting or we focus on what you guys were just talking about with TYT. All these different things are just creating factions, and each faction splinters further, and it just takes away our power that much more.
That part I agree
That's what I think it is. So it is social conditioning because they want us to fight. So they're teaching us to fight. They're teaching us to be reactionary rather than to be introspective.
But one last thing before I leave. The real progressives, you asked that and we got way
Yeah, we did. That's okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong with real progressives. They tend to be, I don't want to say, I'm not going to use the term cult, but they tend to be fanatics.
About MMT. It's MMT.
They tend to be extremely fanatical about the MMT thing.
I just keep going, I don't do math. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, look, some of it they're not wrong on. But they don't take it as it's a theory like any other theory in the sense of some kind of economic theory. They take this stuff as this is just flat fact, hard, cold reality, etc. When really this stuff really boils down to arguments. Some of it they're right on. So if you want to say the government makes cash, that's true. Money is, the U.S. government is the thing that makes cash. That money doesn't necessarily exist until the government makes it legal tender. And if you want to say that the government or Congress has purse strings, Congress does have the purse strings. So some of the stuff that they're saying is right. I mean, even if you look at military, we're using MMT right now in regards to the military itself. When they get into the weeds, they lose me because I don't necessarily understand all of the nuances. It gets more into this kind of heavier economics when they're trying to make their cases, in which case, But some of it is right, but they can be fanatical about MMT. And I guarantee you the argument that you have, the people, their eyes are going to glaze over. They're not going to understand it. They're not going to know what MMT means.
Right. And that's the issue we're having right now is because they want us, we had a question when we were on the air earlier about why can we just add MMT to the contract to CFAR?
No.
And I said,
No.
Absolutely not, because
No,
CFAR is a populist contract. CFAR, every item on there, each one, has to be supported by the majority of Americans. And apparently whoever that was in the chat said I'm out. But so, I mean, they didn't understand. Some of the people that support real progressives didn't understand what our contract was about. That this is not a real progressive contract. Right. It's a populist contract. So, I mean, and I made the point, well, okay, I mean, I don't even understand all of MMT, and I really don't, I have too much else to do. So, but, you know, if Bernie had won, Stephanie Kelton would have been, she was his economic advisor, as I understand it. Or so
that's her, I mean, she would have never used the term MMT, but that's clearly.
Yeah, but you can't go around, you know, Brian pointed out, look, there's probably like 3% of people that even know what the hell it is. So we can't go around doing that. I don't know. So that's going to be a sticking point, I'm afraid, with them. And all I know to do is just keep saying, you know, this is about these issues that are populist and supported by most people. So
yeah. And just to make a couple of final points about the earlier topics, to quickly go over it, I think, you know, I understand that there's a historical context to race and class conflict.
Yes.
Okay. Like, I'm not saying that. I guess what I'm saying is that the root of the problem is our communications technologies and how we're using them. Like, I think we need to address the problem in a very practical sense like that. And my second point is in the post-YouTube environment, like I was saying earlier, referring to earlier, there's going to be there's going to be opportunities. And like some people with channels that like make, you know, that are out to make a living off of this should take advantage of them. And that includes you too, Kelly, and anybody with a message to push. There's going to be opportunities in the post-YouTube environment.
Where do you think that is, though?
It's shaping up to look like it's BitChute and a couple other platforms, you know.
Okay. Steam it, I guess.
But there will be a post-YouTube environment.
Right? MEWE and Minds seem to be favored by a lot.
I'm on Minds, but it seems to me like I mentioned earlier, several journalists I respect seem to be moving into Steam it. So I guess that's, I don't know, maybe that's where.
Well, regardless of where it is, there will be a post-YouTube environment.
Yeah.
And like there will be opportunities to be had. So.
For sure.
All right, you guys.
More people are diversifying, so yeah.
Yep. But I think it's important to still put your stuff out there, like on those places like Facebook, unless till they shut you down, so that you can maybe reach some of those people outside the bubble. You know, because that's going to become its own bubble, unfortunately. Well. So yeah. So keep going.
It kind of also is another quick point. This all kind of ties into what Caitlin Johnstone was doing, and of course that was just a thought experiment. I don't understand why people are so upset over it.
Thank you.
You know, it makes no sense, and it really ties into something Jordan Peterson, who is someone who's really mixed bag to me, but he did say something valuable.
Jordan Peterson.
Let's pretend like Mike Cernovich aligning with the left will never happen. Let's just pretend that for a moment, okay? Now let's discuss what it would be like if that would happen. We've already accepted the reality that it won't happen, so now we're safe to talk about it. It's a fucking stupid game that people play.
Yeah. Well, you guys
thought experiment. But anyways, it ties into the new YouTube environment in the sense that we have to, or the post-YouTube environment, in the sense that people have to be willing to form different alliances. There will be a different environment, and I think people will be more consolidated on these new platforms than they are on the current ones.
Maybe so. Yeah. I mean,
completely. Just because of fewer numbers, if nothing else.
Well, and plus they're also completely removed from any ties. I mean, some groups still have maybe ties to, I don't know, TYT or whatever, you know, that are somewhat still tied to mainstream media, or, you know what I mean?
Well, we'll start to see a pattern.
Yeah.
Let's say it all moves to BitChute. All right. After a while, they'll come chase us into BitChute and they'll chase us out of there. And then we'll have to move to another one. And that's the way it's probably going to go for a while.
Diversify.
Okay. Yeah.
I was watching the Corbett report. I'll leave it on this. He made a video today essentially making this case that says you're not going to be able to see Corbett report much longer on YouTube. And if you're going to find us, you're going to find us on other networks like BitChute, or he called DTube, but it was something else. And I think
D-Live.
Yeah.
D-Live.
Well, his thing was they're shutting down all of these sites. And he even goes, they shut down somebody's entire channel, like using videos that person did in the past, like going back in time in order to find videos that the person did in the past, and saying that these things were against community guidelines and shut down the entire channel. He was showing them in the video as they were doing it.
You know, one problem I have with them, and really if you compare it to mainstream media, it doesn't really make sense because they're pushing the Russia narrative, which isn't true. But I just have a problem because if you don't have checks and on the information that's in there, like this whole, again, I just,
Agreed.
The whole crisis actor stuff with shootings and all that, I just, oh my God.
Well,
I'm not a big fan.
I wish there was somewhere.
I don't even know a huge much.
Oh, I'm not talking about him. I don't know his stuff. I'm just saying, if we don't have, how do we know where we can go that is trustworthy and real and verified? You know.
Here's one thing that you can kind of do. All right, like ads are heralds of demons. All right, so if you see a lot of sites with ads, or if a site starts getting like using more ad content from like big sponsors, well, that's the beginning of the end. The influence will increase. Like, so avoid sites that are blanketed with ads.
Yeah, but I mean, even
have a limited number of them. Really, like try to go for non-sponsored platforms. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, even independent people, you know, and I'm not going to name names, but there are people that are just saying things that to me don't. I mean, there are plenty of them. I mean, geez, just go on YouTube. My God, that, you know, and none of it is backed up with any facts or can be checked or anything, and yet thousands of people are believing it. That's where I have concern. I don't know what the answer to that is.
It's always been like that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like,
yeah,
we haven't all been talking to each other all at once.
Right. I don't know. I still right now, even though I think the Real News Network is one.
I like those.
At least a couple. You know, definitely Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate and a couple there. But it's hard to sort of dig through and figure out what you can trust.
I agree. Like, and part of the whole thing is there's just a wall of noise thrown at all of us every single fucking day. Yep. And sorting through it is kind of pointless. That's why I advocate for waiting to more facts come out about the shooting before trying to dissect it. Mm-hmm. But it's getting late, you guys.
Yeah, it is very late. It's great to talk to all you guys. Sabrina, I'm glad you came on too.
Good chat, you guys. Good luck with the fucking super chat, Jamal.
What?
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm just bitching about that again.
I appealed the decision, so now who the hell knows? This was, you know, it's funny. I made a video recently saying it is a problem that you have unaccountable corporate power that makes this choice on what's true or not. Mm-hmm. And until people, it would make more sense for people to come together and have their own network.
Yeah, I don't want to go on and on because this is probably a very long topic.
Yeah.
But your idea about unionizing content creators could come to fruition in these new in the post YouTube environment if it's
because otherwise you're doing a job and YouTube is able to take essentially reap the benefits from that particular job and make all the determination on what to pay you, whether or not you get paid at all for it. I mean, they have all of the choices. They can demonetize in a heartbeat.
Forcing your will as a union on an organization like BitChute is a lot easier than forcing your will as a union on fucking Google. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
All right,
you guys.
All right, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. See you. Nice talking to you, Kelly. Nice talking to you.
You too, everybody.
Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.